very good morning to all of you. Hi, I'm Dhwani Dalal, the host of your today's program. On behalf of GSW and the Times of India, I welcome you all to the first outreach event under the ambit of the 11th edition of the Earthcare Awards. Started in 2008, the Earthcare Awards, a joint initiative of JSW and the Times of India Group, have been recognizing and championing efforts towards climate mitigation and adaptation. The awards aim to recognize the work of individuals, organizations, and communities that are leading the way in combating climate change, from reducing their carbon footprints to developing innovative technologies and initiatives. Think Through Consulting is our knowledge partner for the initiative. India Climate Collaborative and the Council on Energy, Environment and Water are supporting us in outreach. With this brief intro about the awards, I once again welcome you all to the panel discussion on energizing change paths, ways to accelerate India's transition towards a renewable future. This panel discussion is first outreach event in the series. We aim to bring together key stakeholders in the renewable energy space to discuss the potential and challenges towards achieving India's sustainable development goals, and to identify the necessary steps to accelerate the adoption of renewable energy across the country. The discussions will seek to highlight actionable solutions and strategies that can help India harness the full potential of renewable energy and drive a sustainable, equitable, and prosperous future for all of us. Among us, we are grateful to have many dignitaries who have been instrumental in the field of renewable energy. Now, to commence with the day's proceedings, I would like to invite Rupa Davane, Head Water, Environment and Sanitation, JSW Foundation, to deliver the welcome address and set the context for the day. Please help me welcome Rupa Davane. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dhwani, for setting the context. I welcome all of you all. This is a great gathering. And as Dhwani just gave you a brief on what Earthcare Awards are, can we? Yeah. Earthcare Award, this is the 11th edition. We started, these awards were initiated in 2008. Now, there is a very interesting story that goes behind how we started the awards. JSW Steel, at that point, had received certain carbon credits. And the top management, including Mr. Sajjan, decided that we don't want to put them back into the business. Let's start something innovative. And that was the time when people are just talking about climate change, looking at environmental pollution. We didn't have SDGs, we have the millennial goals at that time, MGDs. And the whole thing that what is it that we can do out of the box, think out of the box. That's when the Earthcare Awards were initiated. And we decided that we will be kind of identifying and rewarding people who are working in the mitigation and adaptation space and climate change. And the awards have only evolved over a period of time. We've added new categories, we've changed the categories. We've looked at the youth space this time. We've added a category called youth in the climate change space. There is so much that is happening here. So I said, let me just take you all through. This is the platform which gives us like innovative solutions in the mitigation and adaptation space of climate change. Hence we have like from the academia to the industry, all kinds of people here, and I'm sure they're going to have a lot of value addition to the whole team. So if I just give you a journey for the last 10 editions, we started in 2008. We had barely about 50 people who applied for these awards. And as we went ahead, strength to strength, like I said, we added categories, we deleted certain, we changed the nomenclature. Till date, we have award over 7,200 applicants, out of which 79 have been winners, they've been rewarded, they've been various allocates. And right from large industries, industrial names, like you get all the details on the website, to a lot of urban bodies, the government bodies who've been applying, a lot of universities have been coming ahead. That I think is a strength, and that really gives us a lot of hope when we talk about climate change as a space. Going ahead, the timelines and the dates that we want to give you, this currently is a call for entry space. People can apply for these awards. 15th June is the deadline for applying. You can just, we have all the technology, look at the QR code that you have, go on the website, you just click. We are here to give you whatever more information that you need. TTC is our knowledge consultant. Knowledge partner, they are all here currently. Again, we are there to support if we need, while even application phase, there are any questions, any doubts. Our identity, how we are moving global, what we are wanting to do. Like a lot of people have been asking me why this outreach, why are we doing this? It's about wanting more and more people to know about this platform that's available. How we can, Chetan is just telling me how each and every one needs to talk about climate change and how each one of us needs to know. So you are probably going to be our spokespeople. Even each one of you are talk to 5 people. That's how we are going to let more and more people come ahead, start applying, look at this space. What do we do? We have various sectors. Sorry. We have 6 categories. Community-based climate action is one of the categories. We know there are a lot of organizations, NGOs, CBOs, community-based organizations who are working in the climate change space. And a lot of their work goes unrecognized, unrewarded. Hence, this category, very special for us, very close to my heart because I am from the CSR space, the corporate social responsibility area, so a lot of them working there. So recognizing them becomes really important. This is a good, most important platform. Innovation in the climate change space, again, we get a lot of applications every year for under this category because there are youth, lot of people doing different. Right from, for example, Cochin International Airport had applied in this category. So Cochin International Airport, if I may give you a background, is the first international airport in the world to go fully renewable for their entire operations, which is a really innovation when you think about operation and maintenance for an international airport. So that's how important this category is. Next is, of course, business leadership. You have large business houses who are doing really out of the box. Apart from business as usual, apart from all the various rules and band-aids that are there, each business house is now thinking in how we can do it differently. One very interesting category we have is women in the leadership space in climate change. We've had excellent representation last time. They're doing, again, out of the box things because they're getting all the data that one looks at climate change, and women are the most vulnerable that they say percentage-wise. So their representation we thought was really necessary, hence the addition in the category. Meenal, that's the first thing mentioned when she saw us, so we need to be represented. That's it. Enable is the urban section. We have Surat Municipal Corporation that's here who are our last year's winners. Again, various municipal bodies, our urban bodies are doing so much. In Ahmedabad, we've had one application a couple of years where they're talking about the early warning systems for the heat island effect that they are creating. So I think their representation again, very important. Enterprises in the renewable energy space is a new category that we started last year. Hence, I think we are here, most of them are from this space. Unless we work on this space, most important category that was, for responsible for climate change, the amount of emissions that come out from this industry. And now I'm talking about the new category, youth leadership in this space. These are our categories and how we are wanting more and more people to apply for this. Our jury, we have a very esteemed jury. Dr. Mashakar has been associated with the award for over 5 years. We have Arunabha Ghosh from CEW. We have Bhadhavan from CDP, Shloka Nath from ICC, the India Climate Collaborative, and Rajat Gupta is from McKinsey. He's been in the sustainability space, again, very well known. They bring a lot of value to the whole group platform that we are here. And this is how we launch, the outreach that happens through Times of India. There are various launch ads, the awards, even that is carried, all the winners get a lot of recognition, the various reports are carried, there are various events that take place throughout the process. These are some of the ads that have appeared in Times of India at various times. Social media again is a very, very important platform as we've gone ahead. Various campaigns are carried through the process, about 8 to 9 months that we go ahead. Today's event is very special. It's the first event, as Dhwani just mentioned, it's a panel discussion. We have the most esteemed panel, and I'm sure everybody is waiting to hear from them now. So I'm going to stop here. Let's listen to them, and then we can carry forward more discussions, any questions that you have at the end of it. Thank you so much. I call Bhai here to introduce the panel, and let's begin the program. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Rupa, for giving the context of the day. Moving on to the panel discussion. But before that, we have a keynote speaker. Gujarat is one of the prosperous and efficiently governed states in India. In the renewable energy sector too, the state is forging ahead of other states. The state contributes 13% to India's renewable portfolio. It is also the leading state in solar rooftop installations in the country, and almost 37% of the total energy capacity in Gujarat comes from renewables. I would like to invite our first speaker who will give the keynote address, Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu. He is the IS Managing Director of the Gujarat Power Corporation Limited and also Managing Director of UGVCL. Previously, he was the Collector of Rajkot, CEO Smart City and Additional Commissioner Rajkot. He has more than 14 years of experience in the government sector. He has received several awards from the Government of India and also the state government for his excellent work in the field of skill development, education, health, and digital governance. Please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Very warm welcome, but as well as greetings from myself. I'm sure this is a wonderful and august gathering who've been here. Thanks to the initiative by Times of India and JSW. This is one of these early initiatives for this morning as well as for the day. Energizing change, pathways to accelerate India's transition towards renewable future. I'm sure it cannot be more relevant for you to organize a program in Gujarat and especially in Ahmedabad, given the context that we are one of the leading states in terms of getting the transition from non-renewables to renewables. Thanks to the Vane ma'am who had set the context today for today's discussion. I'm sure we have got a umpty number of gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen who are here to discuss the future of the country as well as the future of the world. I'm sure that this is a very, very relevant time in terms of history, where we would be working more towards renewables, and probably we would be trying to do justice to Mother Nature, where we can do a lot of things which has been, probably I would say, we can undo a lot of things that has been done in a wrong way. So this is a wonderful opportunity and the right time to intervene. Gujarat per se, to be precise, I've joined the Gujarat Power Corporation very recently from the district, but nevertheless I've worked earlier also in the climate change sector. Gujarat, to set the ball rolling for today's sessions, I'm sure we have esteemed guests for the panel discussion, but I would just like to hint that Gujarat, apart from a few other states, has taken the lead for converting completely from non-renewables to renewables. As ma'am has rightly pointed out, we are one of the leading states to have the total area under solars to be the highest. So you must be hearing that there are certain other states we have good big size solar parks. So we probably would be dealing with 2-3 sectors, which would be, I consider myself that there is a huge future and potential in Gujarat. The positives which we would like to say is that the vast area which has been unutilized in terms of land area and land mass in Gujarat will very soon be utilized for the renewable sector. To point it out, we are going to come up with the world's largest solar park in one of the western regions of the state. And it is, even today evening, we have a meeting for that, and it's to be started soon. It's going to be in a place called Khavda in Kutch. So it's about 40 to 20 square kilometer area. So you can imagine the scale and size with which we would be coming up. So that's where the next level of governance is there, thanks to the vision of the country, the leaders of the country as well as the state, that who have envisioned to take such a big, massive project out here. So there are already existing prevailing parks in certain districts like Banaskantha, Patan, a little bit in Kutch, a little bit in southern districts also. But then this would be one of those bigger ones. Second, Gujarat also is taking the lead to focus works on wind energy also. So this one of these parks would be a hybrid park with solar as well as wind, which I spoke about just now. And we also have huge scaling of, massive scaling, upscaling of wind farms that are going to happen. Upscaling means it also means rescaling, in the sense we will be coming up with new technology of miniature wind turbines also, wherein that could be I'm sure a lot of people must be looking forward to take it ahead. So the tall mast would be replaced by a smaller mast, which would be more effective, and the turbine speed would be faster. And new technologies would be leveraged very soon. Third is something which a lot of people are looking up very eagerly. That is the tidal energy as well as the wind farms on sea. So very recently did some discussion. But in the future, we are expecting that zones within the economic zone and within the territorial waters of India would be utilized for this, and there's a lot of studies which has already been done. Where could we get such wind turbine farms on sea, and it could be, the energy could be captured and translated onto the ground. So these are all 2-3 sectors. I'm sure, as like the anchor had mentioned, solar rooftop is also another big area where Gujarat is working on. In the urban areas, especially cities like Ahmedabad, the work has already started. It is going to be taken up in other cities and elsewhere in Gujarat, where we think that it should be a priority. So, the subsidy schemes as well as JEDA, GPCL, all would be working together to have, rooftops over offices, over residences and all that, so that the total consumption and total pump into the major grid could be from the solar side. That's what, the vision of the state is. So, in short, instead of taking it, very vast before the panel itself, on a short note, I would say that Gujarat is looking forward for the cooperation from the esteemed panelists today, as well as we are looking in for good vendors to come and invest in Gujarat. So, as soon as the Vibrant Gujarat starts kicking, the energy sector is going to be one of the most happening sectors that could soon attract a good number of global players onto this. As of now, we have not decided that whether we would look west or whether we would look east. But yes, Gujarat is definitely from earlier days looking for global vendors also. So we would always think which is a better option: transfer of technology, cheaper options, as well as faster implementation. These are the criteria where we will be working on. So I, as a individual, would want the ball rolling and the projects to kickstart as soon as possible. So without further delay, I thank Times of India, JSW, and each and everyone who has contributed to make this morning and this discussion happen. And also thanks to the esteemed audience who have made it to this morning. And I'm sure you're all going to be very eagerly participating in this panel discussion. So I see the future starting from Ahmedabad for India. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for letting us know about where Gujarat stands and also about the future prospects of the state of Gujarat. Moving from Gujarat to India. Now we are moving to the panel discussion. With a population of over 1.4 billion, India has a massive demand for energy to fuel its rapidly growing economy. From a power deficit nation, at the time of independence, India has made significant strides in renewable energy in recent years, both in terms of installed capacity and policy initiatives. According to the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, India stands fourth on renewable energy installed capacity, fourth in wind power capacity, and fourth in solar power capacity globally. With that background, I would like to invite our esteemed panelists to discuss and deliberate on the theme for today's panel discussion, that is, Energizing Change, Pathways to Accelerate India's Transition Towards a Renewable Future. Let me first start by inviting our moderator for the session, Mr. Ajay Pandey, partner and leader, ESG, Strategy and Performance Improvement, Think Through Consulting. Welcome, sir. Ajay is a co-founder and partner at Think Through Consulting, leading ESG strategy, sustainability and climate change. Prior to setting up TTC in 2015, Ajay has led CSR and development advisory at EY and KPMG. Over the last 2 decades, he has been working on strategic ESG initiatives with a diversified range of multilateral government, corporate clients and not-for-profit entities globally to deliver enduring and replicable results. Ajay holds a PG diploma in Rural Management, Ranchi. We welcome you, sir. I would now like to invite Dr. Meenal Pathak. Welcome, madam. She's a senior scientist with the Technical Support Unit of Working Group of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and Associate Professor at the Global Center for Environment and Energy at Ahmedabad University. She has co-authored 2 IPCC special reports on global warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius and climate change in land, IPCC's 6th assessment report and the recently published IPCC synthesis report. She is a visiting researcher at Imperial College London and has previously held a visiting scholar position at MIT. We welcome you, ma'am. Next we have with us Mr. Abhay Yagnik. He is Senior Vice President, Business Development with JSW Energy Limited. He is a passionate power sector professional having experience of more than 2.5 decades in the entire value chain of power sector. He is very well versed with various power generation technologies including thermal, gas, hydro, wind, solar, etc. and storage technologies like lithium-ion battery, pumped hydro storage. He has been associated with the GSW Group for the last 15 years and presently working on transforming GSW Group's businesses from grey to green. We welcome you, sir. I now would like to invite speaker from Surat Municipal Corporation. They were the winner of 10th Earth Care Awards for sustainable energy generation through solar power plants in the category enablers for urban center climate change management. First, we should congratulate them for winning the last year's award. He is Mr. K.H. Khadwani. He is the Additional City Engineer, Electrical and Mechanical. The scale that SMC has been able to achieve in diligently promoting the use of renewable energy, creating awareness amongst citizens as well as industrial sectors, and facilitating installation of rooftop solar systems is highly appreciated. We welcome you, sir. And would also request Mr. Arun Mahesh Babu to join the panel, please. Once again, a very warm welcome to each one of you, and I now request moderator sir to take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhani. Am I audible? Yeah. Great. So this already looks very, very energetic. So we are going to energize it further. I mean, that is the hope. And the topic is very apt. Because we are all here, I assume most of us being practitioners in this domain, we have a lot of knowledge to share, to exchange. I have been interacting with some of my fellow speakers, some other dignitaries, and I'm already looking forward to this entire morning session. The issue of climate change is not new, and how we put it now is, it has already reached an alarming stage. We are having climate change discussion. When I started in my career, this was more like a discussion in a very selective, confined group. But now I see the issue of climate change being discussed by children, being discussed in the family, it has suddenly become a dinner time discussion. What is happening? Why sudden rains? Areas where you never had so much of heat is becoming more heated. Recently, uh, I was traveling south to Bangalore and Hubli, and everyone was saying that Bangalore was not this hot at this time of the year. Hubli was not this hot at this time of the year, and at the same time, we were having Delhi, which was raining and having a very, very pleasant and cool weather. So people were saying Delhi was not as pleasant uh, at this time of the year. Of course, this is 2 weeks back. Delhi is back to its normal. Another important aspect which no one can ignore is any effective solution cannot be achieved with business as usual approach. And, and therefore, there has to be a lot of impetus on all aspects of work, and there has to be an integration of approaches. And we have in our panel today members from the government, members from academia, members from industry, and member from the local government organization. And it is a pleasure for me to be welcoming all of you. Thank you very much. And moderating this session, of course, all the members present here are much more knowledgeable than what I have, and therefore I will like to hear more from them. And of course, we will like to have some questions taken from the audience later on, so that we can have a more engaging, inclusive discussion as we move forward. Let me begin by quoting the former Executive Secretary of the UNFCCC, Ms. Patricia Espinosa. Energy as the heart of climate change emergency, and it must be at the heart of the solution. So the focus of today's discussion is going to be the challenges related to energy, and we will be discussing on one of the solutions, which is the renewables. Now, India has in the past, and we have been working towards it, and we have seen some notable achievements. Dhwani mentioned about being fourth in terms of renewable energy installed capacity, including big hydro projects, fourth in terms of wind power energy capacities, fourth in solar power capacity globally. And we have really come a long way since our development, starting from coal-based energy, moving on to hydro, and then looking at the alternative sources, and continuously, and most of these achievements has happened in last 5 to 8 years. And when we are seeing this momentum kind of growing up, and with states like Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Rajasthan, really contributing a lot in terms of solar and wind power energy. But we still face a lot of challenges, which includes challenges related to grid integration, transmission infrastructure, financing, policy and regulatory frameworks, and ensuring a just transition. And the overall trajectory, however, remains positive and promising. The roundtable is an opportunity for us to come together and exchange ideas, share our best practices, discuss the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead in India's transition towards renewable energy. So without further delay, let us hear more from our eminent speakers panel. And I will start with Mr. Babu first. You spoke about Gujarat. You spoke about the work that is being done on solar park, wind energy, and you also highlighted the need for technology transfer, how we can move towards cheaper options, and the implementation related modalities. So My question to you, and just to set the context so that we can have a more healthy discussion around it, what, in your opinion, would be major institutional mechanisms that could be employed to catalyze the production, distribution, and uptake of renewable energy? And maybe if you can also highlight some of the enablers to this transition phase, because we are looking at, Gujarat already contributes approximately 12% of India's renewable, and it is working as a key catalyst. So how do you take that forward?
Thank you. Thank you, Ajay. So first of all, what I would like to say that with relevance to your question, in terms of Gujarat, Gujarat has always been a leader in the energy sector. As you all know, we are all witness to what's happening around. In terms of taking the renewable sector ahead, the Energy and Petrochemicals Department, Government of Gujarat would play the lead role in this case, wherein it deals with both renewables as well as non-renewables. In terms of renewables, the Gujarat Power Corporation Limited, which presently I'm heading, would be the nodal agency for taking the renewable sector ahead. And in terms of certain bit of regulations, would be GERC, the Gujarat Energy Regulatory Commission. And if you want to take up the solar things ahead, GPCL would be the nodal, along with a little bit of role from JEDA also, Gujarat Energy Development Agency. So we will be working in coordination, but as of now, GPCL is taking the lead for taking the renewable sector ahead. In terms of institutional mechanisms, we've already set the ball rolling. We've got aid agencies as well as consultancies which have started moving in and having discussions with us from the US, from the UK, from Australia, from a little bit towards the east also. But with regard to India's diplomatic policies and India's foreign policy, we would be looking ahead to vendors who would be more convenient to the Indian diplomatic circles, as well as the sectors which will be opened up are also very sensitive. It's not that Indian land cannot be open to every other third party. So there would be stakeholders who would be involved in this. So in terms of land and everything, it will be the Government of Gujarat and the Government of India would be the major stakeholders. And in terms of institutions, we would be playing a pivotal role in galvanizing the vendors as well as their implementation transition to the field. As you all know, it is not a one-day project. It is a project for the future. So it takes a little bit of time, but nevertheless, it's not that we would just want to have panel discussions and keep on discussing this, because I'm sure right from the days of IPCC and UNFCCC, there's a lot of discussions going on. It's been at least 2 decades, if I'm not wrong. I may be corrected if I'm wrong. It's been about 2 decades we are doing the talk and talk and talk. But now is the time that we need to translate the talk to reality onto the field. As you rightly said, Bangalore, for example, while you travel, we never thought that it would be so hot. And you can see places in Gujarat having, hail and all that coming right now. So there's a complete, it could be inverse or whatever is happening. It's a clear sign from Mother Nature that, you are disturbing the cycle. So we need to get back to the old cycle wherein Mother Nature's cycle would be restored. We've done enough of exploiting the resources of Mother Nature. It's time that we give back to nature and also reduce the consumption from fossil fuels. You see, the whole world is going gaga about, fuel cells, electric vehicles, all that, and we're also talking about next level of transport, modes of transport and magnetic navigation and all that. So I think should we start back to the basics? We should start from the production of energy itself. So that's where we need to contribute. As of now, Gujarat is a major contributor to the national power grid. There's a lot of DISCOMs. So the DISCOM which I represent also, UGVCL is the #1 DISCOM in the country, where we take power from GETCO and GSEC. GSEC to GETCO is the transmission. So GSEC is a producer, or we have private producers who produce and make it to the grid. Then GSEC is where the transformers and substations are all taken up, and the distribution is taken care by the 4 DISCOMs of the state. So I represent UGVCL, which is the #1 DISCOM, as well as GPCL, which would be the nodal for solar energy renewables. So today's context, institutional mechanism, yes, GPCL is going to be there. Whoever wants to have discussions, whoever wants to take things ahead, please do contact us. We would take the discussions ahead. Today, even today evening, we are having a discussions on the solar renewable energy park in Kutch, the world's biggest one. So we've called the participants and vendors in order to come ahead. So how do we take ahead the hybrid park ahead? And as of now, it will be like a plug and play mode of energy transition, where the land would belong to the government. There would be certain mechanisms where the piles and things would be set up. We have allocated different zones also, so that certain things would be done holistically by those people, and certain places where the government would be facilitating such kind of things. So nevertheless, it is close to the border, so we are taking care of all those accounts from in terms of external affairs and in terms of home ministry, in terms of defense, and all that is taken care by the government. So this is one of those ambitious projects that Gujarat has taken up. And in terms of wind as well as wind from sea, these two are ambitious projects that are in the pipeline that will be coming soon. So I think I would be doing justice by answering you that yes, you are at the right place, and with all your support and working together, we think we have a bright future in the days to come. That's what I think. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Bhagat.
you.
Thank you so much. And I think you highlighted some of the very important. I mean, one is when we are looking at energy transition, it is going to be, it will require time, yes, and it will require a lot of collaboration. So what you have been moving in terms of developing partnerships, and then partnerships not just at a global scale, where you are bringing in people from experts from different domain for this. I think one of the important aspect that you highlighted is collaboration between different agencies, and that is something which really is important, because this is an aspect which often people miss out on. So how do we work with different agencies to bring that change, and some of the ambitious project that you have talked about. Thank you for that. I'll come back to you a little later. I will move on to Abhay, and Abhay represents industry. So, what I would like to state, I mean, one of the article that I had read state that climate change should be a strong business argument. And it is not just about being responsibility, it is also, it should make proper business sense as well, right? Now, the question is, with the ongoing transition to renewable energy, can you shed some light on business opportunities that have been created along the value chain? And what is the business case for industries to transition to renewable energy? Given your experience of energy sector, maybe if you can also talk about some innovative business models or initiatives that you believe can drive success in this particular domain.
Before I start, I just want to introduce the JSW Group and JSW Energy, the company. So we are the business conglomerate. We are the largest steel producer in the country. One of the coal, I would say, carbon emitter industry in the country. We are also part of the top 5 IPPs in the country, and as energy today we are at 6.6 gigawatt, having all the kind of energy sources, be it a coal, lignite, hydro, renewable, wind and solar, as well as we are developing the storage capabilities of total 3400 megawatt hour, and by end of this financial year we would be the 10 gigawatt company, and all our capacity addition of 3 gigawatt would be from renewable energy. So coming to the main question regarding the business opportunities because of the climate change or because of the transition, I would like to just give the few data points. Last 2 decades, the country has seen the power demand of a CAGR of 5%. And we strongly believe that going forward in the next decade also, energy demand will also increase even more than 5%, but let's say conservatively we take a 5%. Last year we grew our demand by almost 8.5%. Today our peak demand is almost 220 gigawatt. That is the highest we achieved during this May. And with even a 5% escalation every year, we would be needing a 11 gigawatt of power every year, correct? Now this 11 gigawatt of energy we would be needing from the green power, because that I don't think there would be any alternative to it. And we all know that for a renewable power, the CUF or the PLF or the utilization, whatever you say, will be in the range of, let's say, 25 to 30%. So what we would be needing as a country would be almost a renewable power of a 35 to 40 gigawatt every year. And what we have achieved in last 2 years is at best 15 gigawatt per year of a capacity addition. So there is a huge gap between what are the opportunities available and what we could have achieved in last couple of years. Even we talk about the GSW has set a target of 20 gigawatt by 2030. Now if we compare in terms of the total capacity addition required, which is 500 gigawatt, what is set by the target set by the government of India for the green energy, that is hardly a 4% or the 5% for a group like GSW. So I think in terms of the, let's say, quantum of megawatt or energy, there is a huge gap. Let's compare in terms of the monetary terms. So this 35 gigawatt, even if we consider the 6 crore per megawatt of investment, that would be needing almost more than 2 lakh crore of investment every year. So I think the investment perspective also the opportunity is abundant. So I feel even if you say the company like Shell or Total, which are all oil-based company, they are also talking about the green energy or the transition to the green energy. Even JSW as a group, we have taken a lead in terms of proactive measures that we want to achieve the coal zero by 2030. We are committed now. All the capacity addition, whatever we do in the power generation, would be through a green energy based generation. So apart from this 2 lakh crore of investment which is required purely in generation, you have to distribute this energy into transmission as well as to the local, to the end consumer. For that, the distribution investment is required. For the transmission, the investment would be required, and we believe that a similar amount of investment will be required in T&D space also. Now this is purely on the power sector. Now this would be considered as a multiplier effect in case of economy, because you would be all the ancillary businesses which are dependent on the power sector would also grow in the same fashion. So if you consider the backward integration, then whatever the RE equipments which are required for this large scale of capacity addition, that would be also huge. So just give you an example. Solar module manufacturing capacity in the country 2 years back was less than 10 gigawatt, and that too only module. We were all importing the wafers, cells from the China and other countries. Now with the PLI scheme and with the lot of capacity addition or interest into the renewable space, now the total projects which are announced in the module manufacturing space, solar module manufacturing space, is to the tune of around 75 gigawatt. And that is not only module, even the backward integration of a cell or the wafer or the polysilicon. JSW is also participating with the 1 gigawatt of module manufacturing, and would be coming up with the same during the next 2 years of time frame. Even if you go to a forward integration, the uses of the green power. So one of the key ingredients would be the, let's say, green hydrogen, because that would be the ultimately utilized into the manufacturing process as an alternative to the fuel. So all this green energy would also be required in order to fuel the green hydrogen, which would be ultimately used for the company like steel or company like petrochemical, which would be the replaced coal or the any other fuel gas with a green hydrogen. So I think overall there would be huge opportunities from not only the RE sector, but if we say the backward integration and the forward integration of the both the side.
Thank you. Thank you, Abhay. And I'll move to Meenal. Meenal, you have been working on this particular segment for a long time. Before coming to my question, I would, maybe if you can speak for a few minutes in terms of your experience being with the subcommittees of IPCC and the kind of primacy and focus which is being given to energy transition as well as renewables in those larger discussion which is happening. So I would request you to speak about that, and then I have some specific questions, so I'll come to that. But we would all really like to hear about your experiences in those global forums and what kind of conversation and how they look at India. What is the expectation from India?
Thank you so much for this question, and good morning, everyone. So I work with the IPCC, as many of you already know. It's the UN body. It's called the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. It's a panel comprising of UN member countries. So right now there are 195 countries which are members of the IPCC. And it was produced, it started 3 decades ago, so we have been talking for a long time, I would say. I only joined 6 years ago, but it's an established body now, and now people understand climate change better, people understand IPCC, the reports are taken with a lot of seriousness. But just to tell you that the IPCC reports are co-produced by governments and scientists. So there's people like us who do these assessments of what's out there, what's the literature, what's the evidence out there. And then our summary reports are approved line by member governments in plenaries. So they are co-produced. So at every stage of the process, governments, industry experts, and NGOs and all experts are welcome to review the drafts and provide comments. And as authors, we have to answer every comment that is raised. So in terms of rigor, they are quite rigorous. Just coming back to the focus on climate change, well, the urgency is very evident. So I was at the last conference of parties in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, and you had John Kerry, and you had the big leaders now attending, right? Earlier it was just like somebody from the government would go, but now the big leaders are, because the stakes are very high. And just to put it in terms of numbers, to reach 1.5, we have a remaining carbon budget of 500 gigatons. And every year, we emit about 50 gigatons. So you do the math, as Professor Solanki would say, the climate clock is ticking. And India and China, being very rapidly growing economies, are increasingly under scrutiny. I mean, not to say that US and Europe and who have historically contributed to the emissions, but now we are at a stage where, like, for example, last week, the European Parliament hosted a degrowth conference. But we can't afford to look at degrowth, right? We are really growing very rapidly. So on one hand, India presents this huge country with 1 billion people who have to be lifted, many of who have to be lifted out of poverty, and all this potential about renewable energy. But on the other hand, if we don't do something about demand and about growth, then the climate problem globally cannot be solved. And if we don't solve the climate problem globally, then we are also sufferers of climate extremes, which we have been talking about this morning. But I'll stop here, but I'm happy to talk more, but I don't want to go on talking.
No, we will like to hear more, but I just wanted to get your opinion, because you have also done research and you have really worked closely with urban planning, and my question is related to, just to set the context, that that urban centers have very high energy consumption, and as we move towards urbanization, which is continuously growing, there is a huge pressure in these centers, making renewable transition very critical to the long-term sustainability for these urban centers. So how can urban planning include a holistic approach to promote the uptake of renewable energy technologies? A, in terms of enhancing the resilience, but also as we see growing population, what are the avenues for community engagement and participation in this?
Thank you. A lot of questions here. So, yes, there is an opportunity with cities, but we are less urban. We are more rural still, right? We are 34% urban and remaining rural. But if you look at the balance of consumption, then of course cities are consuming, are huge consumers of energy. Also, there's a big opportunity in cities. So we are in the Renewable 2.0, as Mr. Babu said. This is a happening sector now. So just using those words, the IPCC report calls out to several opportunities, but the first one is reducing demand. And I would say that, that's really the starting point, right? The way we urbanize, we've got to develop more efficiently. And this kind of buildings really won't work. Like, look at this, it's like 43 degrees outside. And it's nothing, no offense to the organizers, but there's something has to be done about this. We all go to these meetings where everything looks like this. And I think we just have to change, and maybe just, I would love to hear from you after this, that the way we urbanize is really going to shape not just for climate change mitigation, but just for resources, for sustainable development goals, as you said, for water, for many other priorities that India has. So that's the first one. The second one is sprawl. Like, our cities are just expanding. And on the periphery, you will see these matchbox-like buildings coming up. And we've really got to think differently about development. Can we have more compact development? The third thing would be, of course, all the sectoral options. So the big options are EVs and renewables, rooftop solar, of course, which has proven. That's why I said it's 2.0. Now we know what works. We just have to upscale it. So your point on investment is very valid, that we need a lot of money to make this happen, right? And so, and decentralized energy, and then hydrogen. So we've got now to fuel growth in the next stage, and to develop sustainability, we've got to find that investment. It depends on international cooperation, of course, trade agreements, imports, all of that. But just to say, we say cities are these huge centers where opportunity happens. But on the other hand, Indian cities don't have any revenue on their own. They don't have their resources. So somehow finance has to be made available. They have to be helped by the state government potentially, or the private sector. And I would like to sort of say something a little more controversial here now, and as I end my last minute. You posed a question earlier to say that there should be a business opportunity, and I partly disagree, because I think if we are going to invest only where there is business opportunity, we cannot make this happen. So the big missing piece here is, okay, citizens should take lifestyle changes, yes. The government should implement policies, and the government is doing already a lot. So then the third missing link, I would say, is the private sector. And therefore, they have to step up beyond where the immediate profits are and take a larger role in India's renewable transition, even in urban centers. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for bringing out those 5 points, and I made a note of it. And I'm not going to respond to the business opportunity one, because I will leave that for the questions session from the audience as well. But one thing is, and I'll come back to you later, but something related to how we can ensure greater community participation, and maybe we will have everyone responding to that. So just as a heads up. I will move to Mr. Khatwani. And Mr. Khatwani, first of all, congratulations for being the last year's winner. Surat Municipal Corporation embarked on this journey towards implementing renewable energy projects, and I'm sure, this is something which a lot of other local urban government model would be looking forward to learn, aspire, and there would be other models as well which we will perhaps come to know of through this year's Earthcare Award nominations. I'm going to pose two questions, very simple ones. What inspired SMC to move towards the, I would say, what inspired you to move towards solar power-based energy model? And also, you have been working very, very, effectively on the wind space as well. So, if you can answer both of these, and just take your time and now also give us a overall context into this transition at the municipal corporation level itself. So how did it all started?
Really, as we know, that all urban local bodies are busy in providing the routine duties, like roads and street lights, drainage, water supply. They are generally busy in performing these duties. Then what motivated us to venture into the renewables was a necessity. It was in 2007 that our water supply was not becoming sustainable. The expenditure incurred on the water supply and the income we were generating from the people, there was a big mismatch. So as such, we were not sustainable. So this was the reason that, and the cost per kiloliter of water, the major contribution was of energy. More than 50% cost was of the energy. So we started thinking that how to reduce the energy cost. So this is where the wind power plant came in the picture. At that time, the wind was not allowed for the government sector. The wheeling and banking facility was not allowed for the government sector. It was only allowed to the private sectors because of their income tax depreciation, etc. Then we approached to the the GRC, which is a court in itself, that the government should also be allowed to install the wind power plants. So it took 3 long years to have a fight in the court with the arguments that why not the urban local bodies should be allowed. So finally we won the case, and GRC allowed all urban local bodies of the Gujarat to go ahead with the wind power plants. So it is how we started with the necessity, and now it has become a business model for us. We started installation with the 3 megawatt only. Today we have installed 38.7 megawatt. The normal interest, if we put the money in the bank, it is only 8%, and out of wind, we are getting more than 15-16% internal rate of return. So this is a reason that now it has become a lucrative model for the corporation to invest in the wind power plants. So today we have installed 38.7, and roadmap is very clear that the country's objectives are that by 2030, 50% of the energy should come from the renewable. So our objectives are also aligned with the country's objective, that presently our total organization demand, today our consumption is 320 gigawatt hour, and 30% is coming from the renewables. But by the 2030, 50% will come from the renewable energy. So this was regarding wind. As regards to the solar, to install the solar power plants, we started with the 100 kilowatt only, and today we have installed 7 megawatt. Again, the roadmap is clear that by 2030, we will be installing 54 megawatts. Already 7 megawatt is installed, and 15 megawatts works are in progress, and this year we have taken another 15 megawatts. So this is one side, that 50% of the energy demand of our organization will be made through renewable energy. But what was a tough, that to convince the public of the Surat city to install the solar power plants on their, roofs of their residence. It was tough, because we should be agree that we are basically the selfish entities. Let the climate change and its effect be at one side, but we don't really move unless we are affected. So it was very tough to convince the public, that why they should go for the solar power plants. So I would like to share with you, it was really a tough journey. Surat is known as a mini Bharat. So we prepared, as many video, audio documentary in as many languages as are provided in the constitution, because people follow their dharam gurus and etc. So those documentaries were circulated throughout the city. That is one. Number two, we appointed solar friends. They were visiting home to home and convincing them that if they will install, how it is going to be financially beneficial to them. And that madness goes to the extent that we started attending all the marriage functions, all the Chhat Pujas, all the functions, gatherings, and going there, so much so that even during the marriage, you will laugh, that when the couple is getting Saat Feras, we were giving them a pamphlet to the Pandit, tell them that the Athwa Fera should be that they will install the very second day solar power plants on their residence. So, this is how, we got success in the solar power plants in the city as a whole. And today, 250 megawatts of solar power plants are installed in the city. Our contribution in the state is more than 10%. Our contribution in the solar I'm talking, it is more than 3% in the country. So this is a big achievement, the Surat city. So as regards to wind, as regards to solar. And in general, we are the policy-driven organization. We have got dedicated energy analysts in our organization who analyze the new sources of the energy. We have got energy cell established in 2001. We have got energy policy, energy analyst, and more so, our ruling party is also conducive, because as we know that we are governed by the the mayors, deputy mayors, and councillors. So unless they are convinced, we cannot move ahead. So it is in totality that administration and the political wing, they are very conducive to each other, and this is why these projects are happening. I think this is all which can be replicated. I can share even we have started working on the net zero. I got documentary with me that how we have started working on the net zero, and we got presentation also. So all things can be shared and all things can be learned. And now recently we are thinking that how to attract the private investment for the renewable projects. So we have floated one tender wherein we are going to allow a BRTS corridor road to a private party. The structure of the tender is that road is under the ownership of the corporation. That BRTS corridor will be allotted to the private party. They have to establish the structure, install the solar power plants, and out of the earning, he will share some part to the corporation and some he will enjoy. So that is a kind of PPP model we are thinking now. And that is the future. That's the future. Because we have to attract the private investment also in the renewable projects.
Thank you, Mr. Khatwani, and really, I think the way he explained and the kind of achievement, this has been, Surat Municipal Corporation has been doing it since 2007. So, almost 15 years, more than 15 years. The achievements are remarkable. If I may, how would you encourage or how would you inspire other municipal corporations? Because how do you have you already done something like that? You mentioned about having policies and everything. So if you can just say a few words, or is there some kind of a hack that 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 points, which we can take forward for other municipal corporations across India who may want to do this, but they are not able to do it?
It will be really, we are happy to share all our experiences. We have already started helping the corporations in the Gujarat. The Ahmedabad Corporation is following the Surat Corporation. They have started installing wind power plants. Now we are in this year we have planned in a budget that PMC cell will be created. PMC cell who will be providing services to all the other corporations of the country without charging anything. We will prepare the tender for them. We will even provide the TPI activities for them without taking any charge. So this is how we can help.
No, definitely. And yeah, I mean, I wanted to.
So no need of consultant. We will prepare tender for them. No need of third-party inspection. We will do the inspection for them.
And you will do this free of charge.
Yes, no charge.
Perfect. I mean, that is something which I think is worth being noted and as outreach activity for this Earthcare Award as well.
Yes.
So, thank you, Mr. Karwani. I'll come back to you, Minal. And you, while you were speaking about from an urban planning perspective, you know, we are looking at environmental barriers. We are looking at cities expanding. There are a lot of issues which we see which had been there, but you know, these have become more pronounced today. What are the key environmental challenges and barriers, in your opinion? And I'm talking about barriers which are really alarming in nature that India face. Specifically when we are looking to transition to renewables. You know? So if you can just share a few words on that.
Thanks. I think the biggest barrier is to break existing trends, to move away from the lock-ins that we're used to. Whether you talk of fossil fuels for energy generation, whether you talk about transportation that's car-based, I mean, look at the growth of SUVs on the roads, and it's a development choice that people are making, but it's also a choice that the country is making, and we really need to shift the trajectory to a very different pathway. And the fundamental challenge is how do we rethink this pathway. So that I think is the overarching challenge. The second I did already highlight was the financing aspect, that our finance flows are at least 3 to 6 times lower on climate than they need to be. But we need trillions of dollars, but we are getting less than millions of dollars. And it's not necessarily reaching the people who need it the most. And by people, I also mean entities. So there are barriers, but just to come back to a more positive framing and responding to your earlier question, you know, on community engagement, that in some countries, these kind of partnerships have worked. Like in Germany, there are early stories of community-led renewable energy. And that's not happening so much in urban areas in India. So I think we can, and it is probably these organizations, whether you call them NGOs or citizen groups, that can lead action. And because the thing with solar is that you have all these high rises, there's not going to be so many rooftops. Right? We talk about rooftops now, but the way we are developing, if you have high rises, there's only one small area of rooftop available. So one is that, can cities map the potential? What is the potential in a city? Do we know that for every city? Is there a baseline? What is the growth going to be in 2030 or 50? So we need like a sort of a scientific assessment of where cities are and what the potential is. The second thing is, how do we realize that potential? So investments is one, but what are the right technologies? Like waste to energy is great, but if you don't segregate waste, you can't probably produce energy from waste, right? The third thing is scaling up, and I think this is substantial. You have pilots, that's great. You have 50 electric buses, that's great. And for a municipal corporation, that's a great achievement. But the scale of the challenge is that we probably need 5,000. We need every bus to go electric, powered by renewables. We need to move the cars away from the road. So we have a success story, but the barrier is how to scale this up. And that also goes to the problem of climate change, as was said earlier, that Surat is probably one of the exceptions, as you know, right? That the political cycles are 5 years, maybe 10. Right? Climate change is a long-term problem. I remember we did a report called Ahmedabad 2050, and this was way back in 2012. We went to the local government and said, Madam, 2050 to bahut dur hai. Climate change to, it's like not even on my agenda. Like, what are you talking about? right? So at least we are at a stage where this conversation is happening mainstream, where you have a government officer seated next to a professor. So I think we have come a long way, but this is just, I think, 20% of the way. I think we really have to go far.
No, and I just wanted to respond. Uh, you know, I think in my profession, because I am a practitioner, I'm a consultant, and when I meet CEOs, and I've been doing that for past 15, 20 years now, and the first question that even now, when we have all these awareness around climate change, awareness around sustainability, what I have understood is very, very misunderstood. You know, as my professor used to say, are we here to understand poverty, or is there poverty of understanding? So I think the same can go for sustainability as well. Business still, the first thing that comes to a business is why we spend money on this, are we getting any return? And therefore, when we talk about opportunities, it is more from a not to do business, but can we make this attractive? Because 10 years from now, you will be out of business if something does not happen. And that also, you know, necessity converts into opportunity. And therefore, that was the point which I wanted to, you know, when that's just as a clarification. But you have highlighted some very, very important points. One, you started with development choices. You started and you spoke about financing. The question on financing, I don't know, I mean, I will leave this up to all the panelists, if anyone has something to share on that. I don't want to put anyone on spot and, you know, just answer this question, because this is a question that moved beyond this panel discussion. But then mapping potentials of the cities and doing some scientific research and looking into right technology, and what you mentioned as scaling up is going to be playing a big role, and what Surat Municipal Corporation or any other urban bodies does. How do we create this into a model that is, India is again a country with so much diversities and everything, so scale up is also a very complex process. But those points are really very, very valid. And with that, and with the, you know, kind of discussion on the industry's readiness and how industries look at this, I'll come back to you, Abhay. You know, we all know that we have a target to reduce the carbon intensity of our country's economy by 45% by 2030, which means that industries in India will have to rapidly shift to renewables, and this transition will require navigating a lot of challenges. And I'm sure you would be aware of some of these challenges. So what, as per you, your experience, are going to be major barriers and challenges to uptake the access to renewable energy that industries face? You know, how do you think this could be addressed, if you can also bring that particular aspect up?
Sure. So in terms of challenges for the adoption of the renewable power, I would like to divide into two parts. One is the technical challenge and another is the commercial. On part of technical, renewable has inherent intermittency. So it is not considered to be the reliable power, and you need to have certain storage device in order to make it the RTC, or the round the clock power. But when you, let's say when you standalone compare the wind power or the solar power, it's 3 rupees. But when you combine with the solar, any storage technology, that would be, let's say, cost will increase. Because today there are the two storage the medium which is available. One is the lithium ion, which is costing you around 8 to 9 rupees per kilowatt hour for a storage cost, and similarly for the hydro storage, if you consider, then it is around 4.5 rupees or 5 rupees per unit. So both the way, if we combine that with the renewable power, we can make it RTC, but it would not be, let's say, pure RTC, and there would be some kind of unreliability would be there. So I think the more we should think about the, rather the generation should match the demand, uh, because let's say if we put our application, the industrial application during the solar hours, then this kind of issues can be reduced because we can use storage to a minimum extent and we can avoid that storage cost. In case of, let's say, one example which I would like to quote from a JSW perspective. So what we have done for our steel plant, what we are doing right now is we are combining the wind and solar in such a manner that we get at most 75 to 80% of the RTC. So the 20% of energy we are, that intermittency we are compensating with the thermal power, but at least 80% of power I would be able to replace with the green power, and that is solar and wind. So at present we are developing 1 gigawatt of solar and wind, which is replacing our almost 300 megawatt of a thermal power plant. And going forward, when the storage cost will reduce, I think we would be able to achieve the complete shutdown of the thermal power plant. And so that's how the first is a technical limitation which we have to do with some innovation, it can be addressed. The second part is the problem with the distribution companies' financial strength. And in any country, if you take the example, the first 10 to 15% of the penetration of the renewable power would be very fast, because that would be the low hanging fruits which everybody would like to get that, correct? And the renewable and the distribution companies will also wholeheartedly accept that. But as soon as the penetration goes beyond 15 to 20% of the total grid power, then the resistance starts. Because what happens that I would say industrial customers or the high paying customers would replace their power with the green energy, which is a low cost, and the distribution companies would be deprived of a cross subsidy what they are getting from the those high paying customers. So that resistance starts, and as an industry we are facing that in almost all the states except barring few, let's say Gujarat, wherein they have created certain kind of a balance between the industry as well as the distribution companies. But almost all other states where the open access would not be allowed in one form or another, to avoid the consumption of power from a different sources than the distribution companies. The biggest challenge is that they are doing it just because they are not financially strong. If let's say they are insulated from the subsidy portion. So let's say whatever the government wants to give a subsidy to any of the consumer, if they can give that subsidy directly to those consumers without involving the distribution companies, I think then the distribution companies would be more accountable and they would also improve the efficiency, and at that point of time they would not obstruct any kind of open access for the acceptance of the green energy. So I think these are the two major challenges I see.
Yeah. These are, and then I think there are other challenges also, but these two are definitely from the technical limitation point and the, how do we strengthen the distribution company and the linkages.
Just one point to add on Meenal's observation on the business opportunities. So unless we make it commercially viable, I think that would be difficult for penetration and mass. Let's say, as you give the example, if you want to have a 500 electric buses, somebody can do a charity. Any corporate can come forward. But let's say if you want to replace a 5 lakh of electrical vehicles, then you have to make it a commercial viable solution. And that is where I think the industry has to come forward and find out some innovative technical solutions so that that can be achieved. And it's possible. Let's say we started in 2011-12 when the Gujarat government was giving a solar power at 15 rupees, correct? So, but that was not sustainable. Had it been, there is no innovation in that business model, we would have not been able to pay that 15 rupees for so long. But now we are able to achieve the solar tariff at 3 rupees or less than 3 rupees. So that is something I think the industry is responsible that it has to make a commercial viable and create a business opportunity out of an idea.
Thank you. I'll come to you, Mr. Babu, and I'll. So we see that the energy transition picks up pace. Uh, it is estimated that the workforce requirement in the Indian power sector will increase considerably. Almost to the tune of 3.5 million by 2050. So my question to you is, what are some key enablers that you feel will positively contribute towards skilling and upskilling of the workforce? And how do you see the potential collaborative efforts between government and industry to fulfill this workforce requirement for future?
Quite a relevant question. I totally, foresee a very bright future happening in this. If you see, I think Dr. Binl is always already playing the devil's advocate in this panel, pushing others. I'm sorry if it is otherwise. She's already pushed everybody to think in that way. I think, we've got a corporate or a foundation also here. So I think you've got that cliche, that what she was trying to say, where an idea is being discussed, it is being proposed. How seriously the government as well as the industry takes it is to be also, noted down. And I'm sure, there are independent municipal bodies who are doing a good job. So it's like both a collaborative effort of both the government as well as the industry has to work coexistently. It's not that cohesively, but coexistently we need to work together so that this vision becomes a reality. That is the point number one. Second thing is, as she told, every country, whether it's a developing economy or it's a developed economy, everybody have been now talking about GHG emissions and bindings and our commitments to reduce all those GHG emissions. Now, what Dr. Meenal was saying is that should not look at a business opportunity out of this. We should actually go by the legal binding of what the country is committed to. So when a country like India is committed to a legal binding, say that we would reduce our GHG emissions by say 50%, and say that we would convert our energy from non-renewables to renewables to about 50% in about say 20 years from now. So then there is already an opportunity. So it's not that it has to be done by the government. The government is always a facilitator. It shows you the way. It plays a facilitating role. It comes up with policies. It comes up with subsidies, and nevertheless, it cannot be done just by the government. So that is where this idea, this opportunity is to be taken in a positive way by the industry. So what my request would be from the government point of view, take it as a business opportunity out of a legal binding which the country has given. So India has committed that we would go green, we would go renewable in soon. So this is already a business opportunity for you. Nevertheless, there is also something called a corporate social responsibility that is pending on your side, where say every major company is bound to say spend 2% of your CSR on good things. Take it as a CSR opportunity. Start putting rooftops or solar rooftops on say buildings on the urban buildings wherever you tie up, or say tie up with some other industry. Go for instead of solar rooftops, we can also think about wrapping up the entire building with solar panels. There are green buildings and Griha buildings which have already come up in the urban sector, where the entire building is wrapped up with solar wafer panels, where they start producing electricity. And there are examples where it is not even net zero, it is net positive, or how do you call it? I don't know, it's positive or net negative, wherein the entire thing, like something like CL, Cochin International Airport Limited, it is not net zero. The entire operations goes on that. So there would be a day when entire, say your 10-story building is wrapped up with solar panels, and it starts producing more electricity, takes care of entire, even the lift operations also, which requires a lot of energy. So that's the way forward and way ahead. So probably the advocates who come up with new ideas and consultants like you can come up with new ideas. You throw ideas and your idea becomes a opportunity for the industry. And the government is always very open to facilitate, especially in a state like Gujarat and having very positive, municipal corporations doing it already as a successful model. I'm sure we have, a very bright future happening. And I'm sorry, I just forgot your second question, if you can.
So it was mainly to do with how these collaboration, industry and government collaborations towards building the workforce.
Already we are collaborated. I think on the stage we have started the collaboration already. Yeah. And building the workforce, yes, it requires a lot of specialists, technicians and technical people. So suppose to talk about one example of one of the discoms we've got about 15,000 employees, for example. So in Gujarat, we have about 60,000 employees in the discom sector. Say the production sector, transition sector, and the discom sector combinedly would be a workforce of about 1 lakh man force, you know. So after which, now the opportunity is open to the private sector, where we need people who produce solar cells. We need people who would manufacture panels. We would need people, you know, who would convert it into the storage, you know, options like the lithium ion or whatever the technology is available. So there's a huge opportunity in terms of employment. There's a huge requirement in terms of scaling them in our own ITIs, vocational training schools or vocational training colleges, where we need to reintroduce courses in particular with regarding to renewables. And I'm sure we are already talking about it. There is already a discussion going on in this scenario between the energy department and the education department, where we would be coming up with a policy. And yes, it's time that, you know, degrowth is a future, but then we are a hugely growing economy, and I'm sure this potential has to be taken up at the right moment. This is the right moment where India should harness on this this opportunity, I think. And I'm sure there are employees already sitting on your right side who will employ them successfully and show examples. And I'm sure Surat has a very good model of, you know, taking the soft power ahead of to the country, because he's already offering a free consultancy. So that is like, you know, wherever you go, you would hear Surat, Surat, Surat. So that is a good way of marketing your things. So I'm sure we are going to do wonderfully ahead. And I'm sure this entire hall is going to collaborate as soon as possible. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I think you summarized everything very well. The screen in front of me shows the time is over. I don't know, I mean, just wanted to ask Sanjukta if we can take a couple of questions or couple of questions from the audience, because I'm sure there is a lot of curiosity there as well. So maybe we'll take 2 questions from the audience and then we'll close. Yes, please. Can we have microphone there?
Hi, good morning. I'm Anil Singh, and though I'm from industry, but also part of Rotary. You said, Mr. Arun Babu, you said you need lots of manpower. Don't you involve NGOs with you, with a large number of NGOs available? In Rotary, I talk about we have 7,000 plus members. So don't you involve NGOs in ensuring this kind of facilities or services to people?
Probably NGO would not be the right terminology to suit this. Probably we engage with a lot of consultants, wherein a lot of consultants are already in talks with us. It could be in terms of you know, consultants at the national level and consultants at the international level, wherein there are also aid agencies, developmental agencies of various countries, of different states, who are already engaging with us. They are also offering manpower in terms of consultancy, in terms of technical expertise to us. Yes, we are in the process of collaborating with them. So probably if you're looking for a collaboration, yes, we would be more than happy to have discussions with anybody of you. But as of now, NGO, no, because NGO has a different purpose. It is more of a social kind of commitment where NGOs will be working. We do have discussions with aid agencies as well as consultants, yes.
Can I have another question? Yes, back there. Gentleman in green, yes.
Hello, I'm Anish from eInfochips. Okay, we are not an expert or very much aware about these initiatives. To be very frank, as a common man, my question is to Meenal ma'am. You talked about developmental choices. I want to understand from you, what are the development choices as an individual, a citizen, for me to ensuring these efforts are valid or in a correct direction for environmental? What are the development choices for an enterprise? Most of the corporates also do not know what are their developmental choices which can be more sustainable.
Thank you so much for the question. The fact that you're here is already a good choice that you've made. The second thing is that, like, just scientifically, our report analyzed 60 actions that individuals can do. And this is a global assessment, right? The first one was no flying, like take fewer flights. There were other things like shift to cleaner transport. There were things like modifying your homes and buildings, right? But with that, there's a whole list of actions, and I'm happy to speak with you offline. But as a citizen, you can make yourself aware about actions, and there's a lot of calculators available online which help you understand the footprint. So your dietary choices, for example, shifting from a meat-based diet to a plant-based diet is a choice that you make. It has a huge positive impact on not just your personal health, but also on greenhouse gas emissions. But having said that, we also say that it is impossible for an individual to change their lifestyle without the support of infrastructure, without the support of technology in some cases, right? You could shift to public transport if there was public transport. If there was good public transport, you would shift, right? So it comes as a package together. That's one on individual choices. And now there's enough awareness. So there isn't an excuse to say that I don't know. Like, so I mean, at the basic level, people do know that they need to switch. But it's harder to change, right? There are cultural factors. There are other factors that there's a cost associated. Sustainability is difficult. If you have to recycle your waste, I try to compost all my waste, try not to take plastic, try not to whatever. I brought a small car here, and you should see the look the hotel guys gave me, you know, like, because there's status consumption also, right? So we have to do something about status consumption, right? We can't like just go on the way we are. But that's at the individual level. At the entity level, businesses can encourage, for example, through shared transport, by mandating some minimum level of standards for water, for energy consumption. Like Ahmedabad University has now got its own farm. We're trying to grow our food. We've got solar panels, but like if all the institutions in Gujarat took those steps, it would be a huge way forward. So yeah, we have to work at all hands on deck, so to say. Yeah.
Thank you, Minal. Thank you. And I really appreciate everyone's valuable insight. Is there another question? Okay. So I'm being requested by the organizers that we, if you have any question, we can take it during the tea break. So I'm going to just conclude, and thank you everyone. Really appreciate your insights and experiences that you shared. We have discussed, and it is abundantly clear that there are a lot of opportunities for India to leverage the potential in renewable energy space. There are significant challenges as well, but there are solutions. It is evident from our dialogue today that achieving India's renewable energy targets require collaborative effort, and we have spoken about that in detail. I urge everyone to take this discussion and ideas shared here today as a call to action, and we all agree on that as well. Let us continue to work together. Let us accelerate the adoption of renewable energy. And thank you once again to all the speakers, to the delegates and organizers for making this panel discussion interesting, as well as we all have something new to learn. So see you during the tea break, and over to you, Dhwani.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For such an enriching discussion, the panelists, we thank you everyone, and would now like to felicitate our esteemed panelists over here. Would request Rupa to do the honors, please. So you can leave the planters on the table and take a group photograph, if you don't mind. Thank you. We can give them a big round of applause for all the insightful discussion we had over here. Thank you once again, all the panelists. It was indeed pleasure to have you all over here. And we take a tea break of 10 to 15 minutes and request you to assemble as fast as you can because we have much more for the day. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, everyone. We're about to begin this next session, and the Solar Man of India is going to go live over here. He's going to share his inputs, valuable insights. So I request everyone to kindly join back. And also request everyone to put your mobile phones on silent mode or vibrating mode. Thank you. Those who are outside in the lobby, I request you to kindly join the room so that we shall commence with the other part of the event. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. I now feel privileged to introduce the Solar Man of India, who's also referred as the Solar Gandhi, Professor Chetan Singh Solanki, Professor IIT Bombay and founder Energy Swaraj Foundation. We welcome you, sir. Professor Chetan Singh Solanki is an educator, researcher, innovator, and happiness program teacher of the art of living. He has undertaken Energy Swaraj Yatra from November 2020 through a solar bus for 11 years. And he has taken a pledge that for 11 years until 2030, he will not be going back to his home. Correct, sir? Yes. In this yatra, he has pledged not to go home unless and until he achieves a stipulated target. He wants to stay back in this bus itself. It is the wake of serious and catastrophic climate change. This Energy Swaraj Yatra is designed with a purpose to create a public movement towards adoption of 100% solar energy. He has been honored with the brand ambassador of Solar Energy of Madhya Pradesh government. He has also been referred to as Solar Man of India by Times of India, The Hindu, and India Today. Today he will talk to us on the 6-point understanding of climate change and corrective actions. So if you guys are ready, then let us give him a big round of applause and welcome him for his talk. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
So good morning. Good morning once again, all of you. It is indeed my pleasure to be here with all of you together. Thanks to JSW, thanks to Times of India for inviting me here. And as the screen said, I'm going to talk about the 6-point understanding about the climate change and how to correct it. Let me begin this by giving my pranams to 2 of my mothers. One mother is who gave me birth, who gave me life, and the other mother is nurturing my life, the Mother Nature. It is giving me food, water, and air so that I can survive on this planet. And I think the Earth Care Award is in that direction, that we all recognize that we have second mother, the bigger mother, who is really nurturing our life. Before I do that and talk about this serious topic, let me ask all of you, how are you all? How are you all? All fine? What a disaster that people are fine, you know. And that is where the problem begins. I keep going all around the world and I keep asking people, you know, how are you, how are you? And people are just fine, you know, everywhere. You know, you go and ask taxi driver, bhaiya, how are you? He'll say fine. You come to a place like this and all the gatherings ask people, how are you? They are also fine. You go to a big office and ask, you know, collectors and secretaries, how are you? They are also fine. So I feel there is something wrong in this world. You know, how can everybody be fine? Science is growing, technology is growing, economy is growing, and we are only fine. Gita says that behind every single act that we perform in our life, whether we want to look good or we want to eat ice cream or get a good position or get a good money, there is only and only one purpose, that is to be happy, feel good about it. That's why I made a rule that if I am going to talk to someone, I will only talk to happy people, you know. So if you really want to listen to me, you have 2 choices. Either you're happy by choice or you're happy by force. Which one you want to choose? Happy by choice, great. So let me ask once again, how are you all? Very nice. What's the proof that you're happy? You said you're happy, right? Smile on the face, right? So till I'm going to talk to you, please keep smile on the face. Nakli hogi to bhi chalegi. You all okay? Agree with that? Wonderful. By the way, I'm also teacher of yoga and meditation, and I teach a special pranayam that brings smile on people's face. You want to learn the pranayam? Yes? The name of the pranayam is Ashcharya Chakit Pranayam. What is it? Ashcharya Chakit Pranayam. So what you need to do is, we feel Ashcharya Chakit, and when we feel Ashcharya Chakit, what happens? Eyes open, mouth open, hands open. I'm going to demonstrate you how to feel Ashcharya Chakit. And then all of you can do it. Ready? Just look at me carefully. And how do you feel Ashcharya Chakit? It is something like this. Got it? Okay. Now all of you are ready for Ashcharya Chakit Pranayam? Let's do it. Hands by the side. और 100% करना है. जितना जोर से आश्चर्यचकित फील करोगे उतना अच्छा लगेगा. Ready? Everybody wants to be happy. Smiling will do it. Hands by the side. At the count of 3, सब लोग आश्चर्यचकित फील करेंगे. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Very nice. Oh, by the way, this was only trial. This was only trial. We are going to do real 5 times continuously. Ready? Okay? 5 times continuously. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Wow. I hope all of you are happy now. I'm going to keep smile till I'm going to talk, because I'm going to talk about a very, very, very serious topic, the climate change and the understanding of the climate change. And as she mentioned, I have left my home for 11 years. Last time when I was at my home, it was 2020. Next time I'm going to go home, it will be 2031. And I keep asking again, why would somebody leave home for 11 years, There can be again 2 reasons. One is the person has gone crazy, dimag ka screw dila ho gaya. Or other reason could be there is a genuine reason behind it. Looking at me, what do you think? Screw dila lagta hai? Nahi, thank you so much for being so kind to me. Which means there is a genuine reason I am doing it, and the climate change is not a simple topic of discussion anymore. It is a question of survivability of human life. So this is my home for 11 years. Today is already 903rd day. This is not a normal home. There is a bed inside, there is a kitchen inside, there is a washroom inside, there is a library inside, there is an office inside, there is a training room inside, there is a small temple inside, and also there is a small garden. And there are solar panels on the top that powers everything that is inside the bus, except the engine of the bus, of course. I invite you, all of you, to visit my home sometime or be with me in my yatra. You're most welcome to do that. Also, before going further, let me also bring your attention to this quote of Plato. Plato was a Greek philosopher, and he wrote a book called The Republic, And in his book, he has written that every king should be a philosopher, or only philosopher should become a king, because power without philosophy is very dangerous, and kings used to be very powerful. They could affect the lives of millions of people in their kingdom. We, the modern humans, with all our science and technology and economic growth, we are very powerful. We can, we can drive big cars, we can make big machines, we can go to the moon, go to the Mars. If there's a problem in somebody's heart, we can replace it. So we are very powerful creature, but the unfortunate part is we have lost the complete touch of philosophy. We have no idea what we are doing, why we are doing, how much we are doing. Only thing is we are doing. For example, in this hall, I'm sure everybody will agree with me. Do you agree that the GDP of the country should grow? Yes or no? Yes? But does anybody know how much to grow? 5%, 7%, 9%, 10%, 15%, 20%, how much? Even if I ask this question to Prime Minister Modi, Modi ji बताइए देश का GDP कितना बढ़ना चाहिए? क्या बोलेंगे मोदी जी? ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा बढ़ना चाहिए. Nobody knows how much to grow. How long to grow? Is 10 more years good for the country? 20 more years good for the country? 50 more years? How many years we should continuously grow? Nobody knows. So not knowing how much to grow and how long to grow is like driving a vehicle without any brakes. And if anybody drives a vehicle without any brakes, what happens? What happens? Accident. And it looks like the humanity, the modern humans are already met an accident, or very soon we are going to meet an accident. So that's why I'm going to cover my presentation in the 6th point. We talk about climate change, but what has changed? Let us be very clear. Why it has changed? Who has changed it? When are you going to correct it? How are we going to correct it? And what an individual can do. If you can take these 6 points home today and start applying in your life, I think my job is done. So are you all ready? Okay, let's begin. 6th point. Climate change means what? What has changed? Well, our nature used to be so beautiful, beautiful scenes. It is very difficult to find these scenes anymore. So a lot of change, a lot of things have changed on this planet. The geographical, overall landscape has changed. But one of the things that describes what climate change is, the change in weather pattern, the change in weather system. That has changed. And what particularly has changed is the extreme events, If you look at if you plot all the weather events, like all the floods, The top extreme, the extreme 10% events will be called extreme events. What has happened in the last 4 decades is the number and the frequency of those extreme events and intensity of those extreme events has changed. So when we talk about floods in 1970 to 79, that decade, there were about 313 floods that has now gone to almost 1400 floods. So there were floods 1000 years ago, there were floods 500 years ago, but now the number has increased by 5 times, 500% increase in the extreme floods. Where are the floods taking place? All over the world. It is taking place in India, Pakistan, Australia, China, Japan, Western Europe, Brazil, everywhere. There is not a single place on this planet where this is not happening. Forest fires. I'm sure everybody is aware about the Amazon forest fires. Yes? Australian forest fires, California, Greece, Italy, Turkey, Russia, UK, everywhere there are forest fires of increasing intensity. That number is also increased by about 5 times, 500% increase. Ice is melting at very high rate. North Pole and South Pole ice is melting very, very high rate. 40% of ice cover in the North Pole has disappeared. 40% has disappeared. And where this ice water is going after the melting? Any guesses? In the ocean. Ocean level is rising. When my yatra went to Odisha, somebody said, sir, you should go to this place. This is a picture I have taken myself. There is a place called Sadhvaya villages in Odisha. Those 7 villages used to be there. They are not there anymore. Hai nahi abhi. When I went there, I was so shocked to see that the temple of the village is under the sand. The hand pump of the village is under the sand. There were few villages which are left, and I asked them, they said, sir, we could see last 20, 30 years, the sea is coming in and coming in and coming in. Every year they could see 20, 50, 30 meters sea level is coming in. The villages disappeared. 1 million people every single year in Bangladesh at least have to leave their homes and farms because the sea water is getting in. We must have heard many times how Kochi and how Mumbai is going to be submerged by another 20, 30, 40 years. Sea level is rising at the rate of 3.4 millimeter per year. 3.4 millimeter, I mean, sea is not a small water body, right? हम बोलते हैं अथाह समुद्र, सात समुद्र बोलते हैं, उसका भी लेवल बढ़ते जा रहा है, right in front of our eyes. That is happening. So when we say climate change means intensity and frequency of the weather or extreme weather system is changed. All right, is the point clear? Let's come to the point number 2, very important. Why it has changed? Anybody in this hall? Why do you think climate has changed? Well, there is only one reason why climate has changed. Only one reason, and that is use of energy. Ever since we the humans started using energy, we started creating problem for ourselves. And rightly so, because as per the SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, 17 of them, there is a connection between SDGs and energy. So whether it is poverty, hunger, health, education, literacy, climate change, even global peace and partnership has something to do with energy. Whatever is happening in Ukraine has something to do with energy. What happened in Iraq has something to do with energy. So energy is very, very important. In fact, it is not wrong to say that energy is everything and everything is energy. Everything is energy. Let us start looking everything from that perspective, that it is energy. But the problem is, we are playing, the game of energy has gone terribly wrong on this planet. And why I am saying this is a graph that is a proof of why terribly wrong. Once upon a time, before 1850, the entire human life used to run 100% on renewable energy. Only biomass, only water, only wind, 100%. Came 1850, we started using coal, 1900 we started using crude oil, 1950 we started using gas. But look at the growth of energy consumption beyond 1950, how fast it is growing. Today in 2023, as I am talking to you, we are using coal, oil, gas, solar, wind, biomass, hydro, nuclear. But the problem is the three curves, the purple, the blue and grey put together is about 85% energy as of today. With so much of development and so much of renewable energy technologies, the total energy contribution of renewable is only 15% all over the world. 85% energy even today comes from coal, oil and gas. 85%. So what's the problem if it comes from coal, oil and gas? Is there any problem? Well, there are many problems, Number one, we don't have it. India is a very poor country. 85% of crude oil is imported, 50-60% of gas is imported, 20-30% of coal is imported, 70-80% of nuclear fuel is imported. We don't have it. And to import we need money. And for having money we need to export. For exporting we need to manufacture. And for manufacturing we need energy. That comes from outside. Look at the cycle. Look at how we are stuck in this cycle. And recent example, if we do not have foreign exchange, you will be in trouble. Sri Lanka ran short of foreign exchange, Israel is in trouble. Pakistan is in trouble. India can also be in trouble. Europe went into trouble because of the Russia war. Gas supply was disturbed. So first of all, we don't have it, and any dependency will never be good for any country. No country can become a powerful country by becoming dependent on somebody else. 50% of our foreign exchange, 12 lakh crore rupees every single year is spent in importing energy. 50%. Not a good thing to happen, isn't it? Anyway, that's not a big deal. I keep saying, don't worry, chinta nahi karte, Modi ji dekh lenge. But there's a bigger problem here, that all these three, coal, oil and gas, is made of one single atom. Can you guess which atom is this? Carbon. Coal is carbon, petrol is carbon, diesel is carbon, LPG is carbon, CNG is carbon. Whenever we burn carbon, it results in this equation. Carbon plus oxygen equal to energy plus carbon dioxide. We consume energy. When we cook food, you are using energy. When you are traveling, you are using energy. Right now in this hall, we are using energy. When you are wearing your clothes, you are using energy. When you are brushing your teeth, you are using energy. When you are sitting on this chair, you are using energy. Every second of your life, you are using energy and doing what? Carbon dioxide emission. Every second. Every single square inch of space that you are using in your life, you are using energy. So we are all emitting carbon dioxide. Where we emit carbon dioxide, where it goes? For example, in your kitchen, right? In your kitchen, you are burning LPG. It is resulting in carbon dioxide. What are you doing with that carbon dioxide? Hello? Living in the air, right? Atmosphere. We all emit carbon dioxide in the atmosphere as if it is your father's property. Huh? पिताजी का एटमॉस्फेयर, नाना का, चाचा का, मामा का, नहीं, फादर का प्रॉपर्टी मान के जितना चाहे उतना कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड हवा में छोड़ सकते हैं. So far nobody has even told you, you can't do that. And atmosphere is finite. Beyond atmosphere is only vacuum, you can't do that. Everything is finite. As a result of this, look what is happening. First time in the last 800,000 years, please note this. First time in the last 800,000 years, look at the carbon dioxide level where it is going. For thousands and thousands of years, the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere was constant. Then came 1850. Then look at where it is going. Exponential rise in carbon dioxide. As I am talking to you, there is 50% extra carbon dioxide sitting in the atmosphere. 50% extra. If anything that changes by 50%, is that a big change or a small change? I mean, I am a professor from IIT Bombay, you are all students right now, so please keep responding. Is it a small change or a big change? Huge change. Anything changes by 50% is huge. If your height increases by 50%, that's a huge change. If your weight decreases by 50%, that's a huge change. We have caused a huge change in the atmosphere of this planet. The problem is the carbon dioxide is not a normal gas. The problem is carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. It is sitting there and doing what? ऊपर से घूर घूर के मनुष्यों को नहीं देख रही, मनुष्य लोग नीचे क्या कर रहे हैं? Carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas having a greenhouse effect. What is greenhouse effect? Trapping of the heat. 50% extra carbon dioxide means 50% extra heat. Is that point clear? 50% extra heat. Another problem is once it is emitted, the average life of carbon dioxide is 300 years. So the AC that we are enjoying today will have impact for 300 years. My God, what a crime that we are committing sitting here right now in the air AC. The travel that you are going to make today, it is going to impact for 300 years. The food that you are going to eat today is going to impact for 300 years. That's what we do, knowingly or unknowingly. As a result of this extra carbon dioxide, the temperature of the planet is rising and rising and rising. It used to rise linearly, the yellow line. But look at the last 7-8 years, not linear anymore. It is going beyond the linear trend. Last 7-8 years, and that is what we are feeling right now. It is not linear rise anymore, it is going beyond. And right now, as I'm talking to you, the planet is warmer by about 1.19 degrees centigrade, which is equal to 2.14 degrees Fahrenheit. Small change or a big change? What? Small change or a big change? It's a big change. 2.14 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, body temperature is normally, human body temperature is how much? 97, 98 degrees Fahrenheit. If the body temperature increases by 2 degrees, what happens? 2 degree, 100 degree Fahrenheit, what we say? Body has got the fever. Planet's temperature is increased by 2 degree Fahrenheit. Can we say planet has got the fever? Hello? My God, planet has got the fever. When you get a fever, what do you do? Take paracetamol, Dolo 650, right? Everybody's favorite. Is there any Dolo 650 you can give to your planet? No, you can't. And when you get a fever, you lose balance. You can't eat properly, you can't sleep properly, you can't work properly, you can't study properly. Similar to that, the planet has got a fever. Planet also cannot behave properly. And that's why there are droughts and floods and heat waves and cold waves and forest fires and sea level rise, reduction in food prices. Everything is happening. So point number 2, why climate has changed? Because of carbon dioxide emission. Is that point clear? CO2 is the main reason. Okay. Point number 3. Who has changed it? Very interesting question, right? Who has changed the climate? Humans, right? Whenever I ask this question to all intelligent, smart, educated people, you know what they say? Who has changed the climate? Humans have done it. I have not done it. Humans have done it. I said, hello, wake up. Are you not human? They said, yes, yes. Who has done the climate change? They correct themselves. They say, we have done it. That is also not correct. Not we. Because it is you who is enjoying AC right now. It is you who is using this furniture. It is you who is going to travel. Every individual who is using energy directly and indirectly is contributing to the climate change. Directly because we use energy in terms of the food, travel, electricity. Indirectly because we all use clothes, materials, furnitures, cement, concrete. And therefore the right thing to say, who has caused the climate change? I have done it, you know. In India, there is a Panchatantra mein ek kahani hai. You know, once upon a time, there was a person sitting on a branch of a tree and cutting the same branch. What do you call such a person? Sheikh Chili. इस तरह के लोगों को क्या बोलते हैं? Stupid fools, isn't it? So when I see one side GDP is increasing of the country and the nature is degrading. And this is the same nature that nurtures our life, without which you cannot live for a minute on this planet. Without breathing, you cannot live for a minute. Without drinking water, you cannot live for 3-4 days. Without eating food, you cannot live. So the nature which is so essential, without which you cannot live, is degrading. So one side GDP increasing, nature degrading. The question that comes in my mind, is it modernity or stupidity? Hello? I'm sure all of you know, it's stupidity, right? The next question is, who is stupid? Very nice. Who is stupid? I. ऐसा नहीं कि जो I नहीं बोल रहा वो stupid नहीं है, वो भी है पर बेचारा शर्मा के बोलता नहीं, अभी तक आदत में नहीं आया. And that is exactly purpose of my yatra, is to bring this sense, hello, we are the most stupid animal ever existed on this planet. And I've been telling this to everywhere, even when I travel abroad, and you know, nobody has taken ever objection, you know, how can you say it's stupid? But this is exactly, it looks like from the bigger perspective that we are behaving in a very stupid manner. That comes to point number 4. When to correct the climate change? What do you think? When should we correct the climate change? Right now. The global temperature, no, Dr. Manal, is she around? No, she is left. So, as per the IPCC, the scientist tells us that we need to limit the global temperature to 1.5 degrees centigrade, ideally, if not 1.52 degrees centigrade. What is going to happen at 1.5 degrees centigrade? Why should I stop global temperature rise at 1.5 degrees centigrade? What is going to happen? Will there be sudden disaster and everybody will die? No. I keep saying, don't worry, चिंता मत करो, इतनी आसान मौत नहीं मिलने वाली. You will not die so easily, you know. In movie, you know, how does a dangerous villain kills a hero? एक खतरनाक विलेन हीरो को कैसे मारता है? तड़पा तड़पा के. तो नेचर तुमको कैसे मारने वाली है? ये भी जोर से बोलना चाहिए ताकि याद रहे सोते समय. नेचर कैसे मारने वाली है? तड़पा तड़पा के. More floods, more disasters, more heat waves, more cold waves. तड़पना क्या होता है क्लाइमेट के कारण? जब पाकिस्तान में 1/3 पाकिस्तान डूबा तो उनसे जाके पूछो. जब ऑस्ट्रेलिया के जंगल में आग लगी थी, 1 मिलियन स्क्वायर किलोमीटर जंगल जल गया था और कई गांव, उनसे जाके पूछो तड़पना क्या होता है. जब आसाम में पिछली बार बाढ़ आई थी तो 20 दिन तक पानी भरा रहा था, 20 days, उनसे पूछो तड़पना क्या होता है. When food shortage is going to happen, what is happening we have seen, उनसे पूछो तड़पना क्या. So what I am saying is, it is not just matter of joke, it's going to be reality soon. It's already, it's a reality. So 1.5 degrees centigrade, we should stop global warming and we should do everything possible to do that. Would you like to do something? My God, only 5 people want to do something. Would you like to do something? Yes, that's the way. The problem is, second problem, we don't have time, even if you want to do something. Why? Because there is what is called carbon budget. The amount of carbon that we can still afford to emit is limited. For 1.5 degrees centigrade, this is only 280 billion ton. This is the number from 2021. Today it is only 230 billion tons. And for 2 degrees centigrade is 1000 billion ton. That looks like a big number. The problem is the second number. Can you all read this number? Can you all read this number? How much is this? 14 lakh kilogram of carbon dioxide is emitted in how much time? 1 second. And how much is 1 second? 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. 14 lakh kilogram, 14 lakh kilogram, 14 lakh kilogram. So much is the carbon dioxide that you are emitting. What a disaster. In 1 second, 14 lakh kilogram of carbon dioxide is pumped into the atmosphere. And then when you divide this number by first number by second number, you get the time left before we touch, and that's what Dr. Minal was talking. I keep talking about the climate clock. The climate clock tells us the time that is left before we touch 1.5 degrees centigrade. This image I have taken on the 21st of Jan, 6 years and 182 days. As of today, it is only 6 years and some 70 days, 60 days. 6 years and 60 days only. Shall I say congratulations to all of you for having such a wonderful problem? 6 years and 80 days. Are we behaving like that? It is only 6 years and 80 days. We are almost behaving that there is a, 500 साल बाद कुछ होने वाला है तब. No, it is happening. It's going to happen right now in front of our eyes. So there is no time. We have to start taking action right now. Even bigger point is how to do that. And I think that is where 99% people fail. That is where 99% organizations, policymakers, bureaucrats, officials, politicians, professors, parents, where they fail, because very few people understand how to correct the climate change. And I believe I'm going to throw some light on this. And why should we change it? Because there's no planet B. We are not rich like Elon Musk and we are going to fly to some other planet. Sab gareeb hai idhar, yeah? You're not going to do that. So better you do it right now. Correct it here. How to do is $1 million and $1 billion question. Well, as per the IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change 2018 report, it says change in energy use pattern is required. Why the climate has changed? Because of the energy. How it can be corrected? Because of the right energy. If somebody gets a cancer, can you correct the cancer by taking paracetamol? You can't, right? If you want to correct the cancer, the only way to correct the cancer is removing the cause of the cancer. Removing the cancerous cells from the body, doing chemotherapy. If you really want to solve the problem of climate change, the only way of doing it is removing the root cause. And what is the root cause? What is the root cause? Carbon dioxide emission. That is the root cause. If you are not going to remove that, then you can do as many things as you want, you can feel good, nothing is going to happen to the climate change, and that is what it is not happening. Kyoto Protocol we signed in 1998, Paris Agreement in 2015, that very clearly said by 2030, every country is going to cut down carbon emission by 45%. And I was so happy in 2016, wow, this year carbon emission will go down, 2017 it will further go down. What is the reality? It's increasing every single year with a 1.7% rate. You can't treat climate change, nothing will happen. So, change in energy use pattern is required. But look at the two letters in the bold. Not only that you have to make a change in energy use pattern, it has to be drastic and immediate. The change has to be drastic and it has to be immediate. Now tell me, anybody, any country, any organization, any individual, are they making drastic changes or individual changes? No. Nobody is making. Everybody is being happy in incremental changes and tweaking the solution. It is not going to work. It has not worked in the last 30, 40 years. So drastic and immediate changes required. Can we really do this? The big contradiction. Modern humans are full of contradiction. I keep, as I'm traveling in Yatra, I keep seeing a lot of contradiction. One of the biggest contradiction is this: everybody wants growth. Yes or no? Yes. But growth requires energy. And 85% energy comes from where? Coal, oil and gas. And that is going to result in carbon dioxide emission. And that is going to cause climate change. So growth means climate change. What do you want? You want growth or you want climate change solution? What do you want? Growth or climate change solution? Politically correct answer is both. सबसे बढ़िया काम है. दोनों हो जाए तो कितना मजा आ जाए, नहीं? हो सकता है, possible है, पर करना पड़ेगा वैसे. Right now nobody has told us how to do both. Nobody. Not a single solution that exists. All this green hydrogen, green economy is all big misnomers. It is not possible to have green economy and green hydrogen. Forget about it. And as I see, this climate change is not a small problem of anymore of global warming or temperature change. No, it is now the problem of survivability of human life on this planet. 80 years from now, 100 years from now, 120 years from now, the question is whether human life can survive or not. That is the question, and that's why I'm saying, if anybody can solve this problem, ensuring that there's a growth without affecting climate change, should not get just 1 or 2 Nobel Prize, he or she should get 8 to 10 Nobel Prizes. It's such a big problem. Any one of you in the hall want a Nobel Prize? Hello? Oh my God, nobody wants a Nobel Prize? Oh, there is one person. Okay, very nice. Why don't you give him a big clap for being brave? If you want a growth in climate change together, then we need something, because growth requires increase in energy supply, climate change solutions requires decrease in energy supply. That's why there is a contradiction which people are not able to understand, not able to behave properly, and everybody is trying to consume more and produce more. That is not going to work. I feel there is a solution available. I'm going to present you the solution. Let's see if it is workable or not. What is required? Drastic and immediate change in energy use pattern is required. What we need to do is, according to me, we need to switch to solar energy 100%, not even 99%. Don't stop at 99%, you are not going to solve the problem fully. Do it 100%, but the manner you do it is even more important. What the manner you have to do is more important. What is the manner I am proposing? Surrender electricity connection and then switch to solar. If we all surrender electricity connection, will that be a drastic change? Yes or no? Yes. And if you do it today, will that be immediate change? Yes. So that will be drastic and immediate. You all agree with me? If you really agree and understand what I am saying, do one thing, Today when you go home, write a love letter. Love letter to whom? To electricity board, Write to electricity board, dear electricity board, so far I have been taking your electricity. Finally my eyes are opened and I have decided to generate my own electricity. And therefore I do not need your electricity connection. Kindly take your connection back. Thank you so much, yours truly. Will you all write such a letter? Do that. If not today, do it this month. If not this month, do it this year. If not this year, do it in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years time. As soon as possible, switch your life to solar energy 100%. That's not your choice anyway, it's your compulsion. If we want to survive on this planet, we have to switch to solar energy, because that is the source of our existence. Isn't it? By the way, how many of you are using solar energy right now? Okay, some 10, 12 people. That is where the problem begins in this world, By the way, how many of you are eating food every day? Or some people have doubt whether they eat food or not, My God. Can we grow food without using solar energy? No. So if you are eating food means you are using solar energy. Yes or no? Are you breathing all the time? How many people are breathing all the time? I hope there is no doubt in this case. We can't produce oxygen without solar energy. So if you are actually breathing, means you are using solar energy. If you are drinking water, you are using solar energy, because there is no water cycle possible without solar energy. So if you are eating food, if you are breathing, if you are drinking, you are using solar energy. So let me ask this question once again. How many of you are using solar energy? Oh, everybody. What a great revelation in your life. Finally, पता चल ही गया that you are using solar energy, no? बहुत सारे लोग बेचारे बिना जाने मर जाते हैं. उनको जीवन भर पता नहीं चलता कि उनका अस्तित्व सोलर एनर्जी था. You exist because of solar energy. No living creature on this planet can exist without solar energy. Therefore, if I run my lights and fans on solar, what's a big deal? If I cook my food on solar, what's a big deal? But we have made it very special. Running lights on solar has become very special. No, it has to be the most normal part of my life that it runs on solar energy. It should not be special. We have made it very, very special, and that's why we have a lot of discussion like this. So switch to solar energy 100%. But be careful. You know, be careful, because we, the modern humans, we have become very expert, you know, super expert. We are expert in solving one problem and creating. सबको पता है, ये बोलने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. You have been doing this, you know, for 50, years. So एक प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हैं, दूसरी खड़ी करते हैं. अच्छा, पहले करते थे, अभी तो हम एडवांस और मॉडर्न हो गए, तो अब क्या करते हैं, एक प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हैं और चार नहीं खड़ी करते हैं. Please don't do that, for the God's sake. If you are going to use solar energy the manner we are using, we will be in another trouble. We can't do that, you know. And let me give an example of Gujarat itself. When my yatra came to Gujarat, I was so happy to see so many solar panels. 10-15 दिन में I really became very dukhi, you know. Because once after my lecture, somebody came to me and he said, "Sir, thank you so much. आपने आंखें खोल दिया." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Sir, sister का phone आया था और sister बोल रही थी कि भैया घर में 6 किलोवाट का सोलर पैनल लगा के रखा है, रूफटॉप पे 6 किलोवाट का लगा है. पहले एक कमरे में एसी था, अभी तीनों कमरों में एसी लगा लिया है, फिर भी बिजली बचती, बताओ क्या करूं?" That's a disaster. Please God, don't do that. And that's why I have written 2 fundamental laws of human existence, and you can call them Solanki's fundamental laws of human existence. बहुत बड़ी बात है. मनुष्य जीवन के अस्तित्व के 2 नियम हैं. यदि मनुष्य को धरती पर रहना है तो ये 2 नियम का पालन करना पड़ेगा. You can write it somewhere. Times of India can actually produce in a, print and put it in a big letters, so that people understand. And आज के 30 साल बाद, 40 साल बाद कुछ होगा तो मुझे याद करेंगे, अच्छा प्रोफेसर सोलंकी ने ऐसा कहा था. What are these laws? Number 1, in an ecosystem of finite resources, there has to be finite consumption. When your resources are finite, your consumption has to be finite. Planet is a finite body, finite biological ecosystem. जनसंख्या 3 लाख 3 गुना 4 गुना बढ़ जाए, can we all come together and stretch and make our planet bigger? Can we do this? No. Can we increase the amount of soil on the planet, water on the planet, minerals on the planet? Nothing. Everything is fixed and finite. सिर्फ मॉडर्न ह्यूमंस को लगता है नहीं, जीडीपी बढ़ना चाहिए, ग्रोथ बढ़ना चाहिए, प्रोडक्शन बढ़ना चाहिए, कंजम्पशन बढ़ना. इज दैट पॉसिबल एट ऑल? इफ योर सैलरी इज फिक्स, योर एक्सपेंसेस हैज टू बी फिक्स. एंड महात्मा गांधी said it beautifully. He said there is only enough in the world for everyone's need, not for anyone's greed. Right here in this city, how many people understand what he said? और क्यों कहा था गांधी जी ने? दिमाग खराब हो गया था 100 साल पहले, तो क्लाइमेट चेंज भी नहीं था, नदियां भी खराब नहीं थी, पॉल्यूशन कुछ नहीं था. बट he said this 100 years back. There is only enough in the world for everyone's need, not for anyone's greed. Why? Because everything is finite. Understand? So whatever we are consuming, whether we are consuming food, water, clothes, space, or energy, the most dangerous thing that we consume is energy. It has to be limited first before we talk about solar energy. And second law is, in an ecosystem of finite resources, there has to be distributed production. Has to be distributed production. Why? Because whenever we do centralized production, it always results in unequal distribution, always, which is going to result in inequity, which is going to result in lack of peace and violence. And look at last 30-40 years, science is growing, technology is growing, economy is growing. Is brotherhood also growing? भाईचारा बढ़ रहा है? प्रेम भाव बढ़ रहा है? नहीं. Is the violence growing? Yes, because of this wrong economic model. If you are going to do this, it is going to result in more and more violence, and therefore limiting consumption and localizing production is fundamental to human existence on this planet. Is that point clear? कोई भी करेंगे. First thing is limit consumption, localize production. पानी use करना है. Rule number 1, limit your consumption. What does it mean? Don't take bath in the bathtub. Sometimes it is good not to take bath at all. Rule number 2, localized production means recharge locally. If you are eating food, rule number 1, do not waste food, limit your consumption. Rule number 2, localize your production means eat local food. If you are using energy, rule number 1, limit your consumption. First learn how to limit your consumption, and once you limit it, learn how to localize your production. These are the two fundamental laws of human existence. I hope it is clear how to do it by limiting and localizing. That brings me to the last point, what an individual can do, very important. What an individual can do to solve this problem of climate change. Well, what an individual can do? Well, first of all, it is energy that has created the problem. It is the carbon-based energy that has created a problem. So what I believe we need to do is, we need to rethink and redesign. We can't tweak the solution. Listen to it carefully. We cannot tweak the solution. We need to rethink and redesign the manner we consume and generate and consume our energy, so that there is energy sustainability, so that there is energy access, so that there is energy security, so that we solve the problem of climate change. So it is a big question in front of us. How do we rethink and redesign our solution? Well, I have already given 2 fundamental laws, but to switch to solar 100%, I have given a 3-step approach. We need to all switch to solar sooner than later, There is no choice. But how to do it? Follow this 3-step approach. What is it called? Avoid, minimize and generate. Avoid, minimize and generate, AMG. Let us discuss that. A is avoid the use of energy as much as possible, even if it is solar energy. I am a professor of solar energy, brand ambassador of solar energy, Solar Man of India. My job is to promote solar energy. The first rule of using solar energy is, don't use solar energy. Is that point clear? Why I am saying this? Because there is no technology in the world which does not have side effect. Nothing. I have done my PhD in solar energy, right from mining silicon, it takes energy, melting silicon, purifying silicon and bringing it into the silicon crystal form. We need to melt silicon 3 times at 2000 degrees centigrade, 3 times. Then you make silicon wafer, then you make solar cell, 850 degrees centigrade process. Then you make solar module. For making solar module you require glass, and you require aluminum frame, and you require Tedlar, polymers. And to erect the solar module you require iron structure, and then you require power cables, and to process the power you require inverter, and store energy you require battery, and at the end of life of each of this product you need to recycle, again use of chemicals, again use of energy. Therefore, what is the best thing to do in life? Do nothing. दुनिया लाइफ में सबसे बढ़िया काम क्या करना चाहिए? कुछ नहीं करना चाहिए, वही सबसे बढ़िया काम है. By doing something you create so many problems, right? वैसे भी जो लोग meditation करते हैं उनको पता है ना, the greatest joy in life comes from meditation. And what you do in meditation? Nothing, right? क्या करते हैं meditation? कुछ नहीं. इसलिए सबसे बढ़िया लाइफ में काम क्या करना चाहिए? कुछ नहीं करना चाहिए. Avoid the use of energy. कर्म जरूर करना चाहिए. Avoid the use of energy as much as possible, even if it is solar energy. That is the best thing you can do, because we say prevention is better than cure. Using solar energy is like a cure, but 100 times better is not to use energy. What could be the example how to avoid use of energy? Well, AC. I told Sanjukta 2 times, please for the God's sake increase the temperature, I am feeling cold. अभय जी यदि कोट पहन के नहीं आते तो उनको भी ठंड लगे तो पर उन्होंने कोट पहना, उसमें एनर्जी गई, फिर यहाँ पे डबल एसी चला, उसमें भी एनर्जी गई. लुक एट द कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन. सो एसी का टेम्परेचर बढ़ा सकते थे, इतने ही लाइट्स को कम कर सकते थे. सो व्हाट आई हैव डन एट माय होम इज, एट माय होम देयर इज नो रेफ्रिजरेटर, देयर इज नो गीजर, देयर इज नो एयर कंडीशनर. आई हैव स्टॉप्ड आयरनिंग माय क्लोथ्स. You know why I stopped ironing my clothes? Because bulb takes only 20-30 watt of power to run. Iron takes 800,000 watt of power. If all of us start, wearing non-iron clothes, will something happen to your beauty? लोग कम सुंदर हो जाएंगे, ऐसा कुछ हो जाएगा? नहीं. That becomes a normal part of life. Everybody does that. That's a big saving we can make by starting wearing non-iron clothes. So, why should you stop the fridge? By the way, I am a professor of IIT Bombay, right? तो इसलिए मेरे घर में फ्रिज और एसी गीजर इसलिए नहीं है कि मैं गरीब आदमी हूँ. मैं प्रोफेसर हूँ, I could afford it. अच्छा ये सब होने से ऐसा भी नहीं कि मैं दुखी हो गया ना, आई एम सैड पर्सन, ओ माय गॉड देयर इज नो फ्रिज, हाउ डू आई लिव, नो एसी, हाउ डू आई लिव. और उससे भी खास बात है ना, मेरी शादी में 20 साल हो गए, अभी तक मुझे तलाक भी नहीं मिला है. Nothing will happen to you also. If you start doing it, nothing will happen. Nobody is going to leave you. Don't worry. But why should you start doing it? Because एक दिन फ्रिज का उपयोग किया, one day use of refrigerator is equal to 1 unit of electricity consumption. One good bath with the hot water with a geyser is 1 unit of electricity consumption. 1 hour of air conditioning is 1 unit of electricity consumption. India, 74% of electricity in India comes from coal. So 1 unit of electricity consumption is equal to 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide emission. And 1 kilogram of carbon dioxide once emitted remains in the atmosphere for how many years? 300 years. तो तुम्हारे जो एक बार गर्म पानी से नहाने का सुख है, उसका दुख कितने साल का होगा? 300 साल का. ये कौन भुगतने वाला है? आए नहीं ना, आए तो मर जाएगा, आए तो 300 साल नहीं बचने वाला. कौन भुगतने वाला है? आने वाले जनरेशन. किसका आने वाला जनरेशन? तुम्हारा, पड़ोसी का नहीं ना. Your own generation, your own children, your own grandchildren are going to bear this for 300 years, 10 generations. And I keep asking, ऐसा काम जो तुम करो, तुम्हारी 10 पीढ़ियां भुगतती रहे, what do you call such an act? You do it, but your 10 generations are going to bear this. ऐसे काम को क्या कहेंगे? हाँ, पाप है ये, किसी पाप से कम नहीं है. और जो पाप करता है उसको क्या बोलते हैं? Papi. And who is Papi? I. See? So many smiling, beautiful Papis are sitting here. But that is the reality. So avoid the use of energy. That is the best thing you can do. And there are so many ways we can avoid the use of energy. So many ways. Step number 2. If you cannot follow the avoid, follow step number 2. Minimize the use of energy by 1/3 by using efficient appliances. LED lights are a great example how to minimize the use of energy. You know, LED as compared to CFL takes less than 50% of energy, 50% CO2 saving. Now there are fans available like BLDC fans. Replace the induction motor fan by BLDC fan. Normal induction motor fans are 60 to 70 watt of power. BLDC fans are 25 to 30 watt of power, less than half electricity, half of CO2 saving. Refrigerator use should be avoided, but if you cannot avoid it, minimize it. How do I minimize the use of refrigerator? How do I minimize the use of refrigerator? Don't buy 2 doors and 3 doors and 4 doors refrigerator. आजकल लोग फ्रिज में कमरा बनाने पे तुले हुए हैं. इतना 4-4 दरवाजे फ्री है. माय गॉड, इतना बड़ा फ्रिज लेके क्या करते हैं? उसमें अचार रख के खाते हैं. मुझे लगता है दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा पाप है फ्रिज में अचार रख के खाना. It's not required. Your most critical needs are your milk and maybe some vegetable. You require 50 liters refrigerator, not more than that. But we buy 4 doors refrigerator. That's a crime that we are committing against our own children. Minimize the use of energy, buy a smaller refrigerator and 5-star rated refrigerator. AC use should be avoided. But if you cannot avoid it, minimize it. How do I minimize the use of AC? No. Not only temperature, what we are doing is we are trying to make big bedrooms, and what your AC is doing, AC is cooling your roof, AC is cooling your walls, AC is cooling your floor, AC is cooling your furniture, and at the end, AC is cooling your small body of 6 feet by 2 feet. What a badtamiz use of AC that we all do, isn't it? For God's sake, don't do that. Make smaller spaces. Keep high temperature and use 5-star rated air conditioner. Your energy needs will be cut down more than half. So minimize by another 1/3. Is that point clear? Okay. If you cannot avoid minimize, if you cannot minimize, the last step is generate only 1/3. Then you are sustainable. Not blindly like putting 500 megawatt plant, 1000 megawatt and 2000. What? क्या चल रहा है? आश्चर्य होता है. कैसे कर सकते हैं? Solar energy का लक्षण अलग है ना. The characteristic of solar is different. When there is an elephant and deer, give them a different task. Elephant can actually do a task of heavy job, so give him that kind of job. Deer is flexible, you know, give him that kind of job. Coal power plant makes sense to make a 500 megawatt and 1000 megawatt. Solar, it does not make sense. You have to again use the same distribution, same transmission, same thing. Why? When solar is falling on everybody's roof. Please don't do that. The characteristic of solar energy is different. Do not treat it like a coal power plant. And that is a mistake we are making. So generate only 1/3. Where should you generate? Locally, wherever you are. Then you are efficient. Then you are sustainable. Follow AMG. So do it this. I hope all of you are going to remember AMG rule. Will you all remember? Okay, let me check. A means avoid. M means minimize. And G means generate. How much? 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. 1/3 avoid, 1/3 minimize. Only generate 1/3. And if you are not going to follow AMG rule, you will have to say OMG, oh my God, solar is expensive. Oh my God, roof pe jagah nahi hai, policy nahi hai, subsidy nahi, falana nahi, dim. All kind of excuses will come. But if you follow AMG, you do not need net metering. You do not need government. You do not need policies. You can switch to solar energy right away on your own. Everybody is capable of doing that. So let us follow AMG. And when we do this, it becomes energy Swaraj, when it becomes energy independence. And that's the whole idea of energy Swaraj and energy by local for local. In fact, Prime Minister Modi also said this in his speech in 2021 Independence Day speech. He said India has to become Atmanirbhar, but to become Atmanirbhar, we have to become Atmanirbhar in energy. And to become Atmanirbhar in energy, every individual, every institution has to become Atmanirbhar in energy, and we must follow Energy Swaraj. When we do Energy Swaraj, it actually solves many other problems. It creates a lot of jobs, it results in skill development. When we are locally independent and we generate local energy, the money circulates in a local economy. The local economy becomes stronger. When we generate our own energy, our country does not need to import from outside. We save foreign exchange. And we do generally locally on solar, we avoid carbon emission. So therefore we also solve the problem of climate change. So Energy Swaraj is just not a concept, it is a very powerful tool of solving many problems that modern world is facing, including job creation, dependency, geopolitical tensions, climate change. All those problems can be solved if you adopt to Energy Swaraj. And that's why when I presented this idea in the global forum in IEEE competition, more than 450 teams were there. We were the winner at the national level, we were the winner at the Asia level, and in the final round, there were 3 teams from each continent, 21 teams. We have beaten all the teams and we were winner also at the global level. And I got the prize money of $100,000 and I have donated that money and created this foundation, Energy Swaraj Foundation. And thank you. And the purpose of this foundation to establish Energy Swaraj not only in India but all over the world. Finally, I also believe that it is impossible for any government alone to solve the problem of climate change, whether it is American government, German or Indian government. Doesn't matter how powerful the government is. There are 2 problems with the government. They are elected for a short time, 4 years and 5 years. They can never think in 58 terms. Second thing, even if they think, they do not have enough resources. I have been working with the central government, state government very closely. Governments cannot do that alone. And who has caused the climate change anyway? I have done it, so I have to solve it. So every individual has to take part in the solution to the climate change. Then it will become a public movement. And without public movement, we will not be able to solve the problem. We are running out of time. When each one of us start taking pride in saying that, mere ghar bijli connection nahi hai, then it becomes matter of pride. When you and I start saying that I live without refrigerator, when you and I start saying and taking pride in saying that I wear non-iron clothes, when you start deciding कि जो BMW से आता है उसको घर पे चाय के लिए नहीं बुलाएंगे, because that person is emitting more carbon dioxide, not less good person, that person who is actually running. When your social norms will change, then you will be able to create a public movement and solve the problem of climate change. We need to make low energy consumption as our fashion. You know, as I said, at my home there is no fridge, there is no geyser, there is no refrigerator. I start wearing non-iron clothes. But to make it as a fashion, we have done one more thing. No? I have 2 daughters, and we have decided that whenever my daughters will get married, in their marriage function, we are only going to invite those guests who come without ironing their clothes. जो प्रेस के कपड़े पहन के आएगा उनको बोलेंगे नमस्ते कल आना. Can we do this? Can we not do this? Isn't it? It is about our own life and our own children. Let us create a fashion when low energy consumption is the style. You know, when and I was telling this and somebody said, "Sir, बिल्कुल हो सकता है." उनकी कैसे हो सकता है? He said, "Sir, फटे हुए कपड़े पहनना fashion हो सकता है, तो low energy consumption fashion क्यों नहीं हो सकता?" So let us all create a public movement. Let us all become energy independent. Let us all adopt to Energy Swaraj. And there are many actions that you can take. There is a portal, es-pal.org, Energy Swaraj-portal for action and learning. There are many actions that you can take. And one of the first action that everybody should take is what is written on my shirt. Can you all read what is written? What is written on my shirt? I am energy literate, are you? I believe that energy literacy is the first step towards climate change correction. If you are not energy literate, you will never understand what is the right thing to do and how to do. And therefore, I invite everybody present in this hall here, I invite Times of India, I invite JSW to become partner in spreading energy literacy. Every user of energy should become energy literate. Step number 1. Every user should become energy literate. It's a free course available to everyone. It's available in Hindi and English, and now soon it will be available in 14 regional languages and some foreign languages also. Very, very powerful course. I guarantee you, if you do this course, something will happen in your life, something good will happen. So do this. You can go and register as an individual, you can go and register as an organization. As an organization, you can also upload your logo. So every certificate that is generated through your organization, your logo will also appear. So this is the energy literacy training. Again, we have this challenges like climate correction day challenge. Every first Wednesday of the month we throw a challenge. You know, we contribute to climate change every day, but we correct only some days. So how do we bring habit of climate correction? So we throw this CCD challenge. And our last CCD challenge was eat uncooked food for 1 day. And soon we are going to announce our next CCD challenge. So take part in action for climate correction. I invite all of you present here to take a note of this address and register yourself. We have also been designed a climate clock, and we have organized on 22nd April Earth Day, world's largest climate clock event. We got the global, we got the world record on that. But now we are taking it further, and in every state we are organizing a climate clock assembly program. So climate clock, you know, that clock I showed you, we can assemble and start putting on our building so that everybody every day can look what is happening. Our first climate clock event is taking place in Uttarakhand in Dehradun on 23rd of May. And again, I'm inviting partners for other states. We would like to organize this in every state. Have a press conference and declare climate urgency. You know, we need to really take urgent actions. All right, at the end, I would like to invite to join this movement. Let us all move towards Energy Swaraj. If you do anything, you can start tagging hashtag Energy Swaraj and hashtag Energy Swaraj movement so that we can spread this. I've written my ideas in this book, if anybody wants to read. My experiment with solar truth, how the solar should be used itself is an important question. And at the end, I'm not going to summarize myself. I will request all of us to summarize together. Are you all ready? I'm a professor, and a professor are good in taking exams. So what I've done is I've created a small exam for you. There are fill in the blanks, and you need to fill the blanks. Okay, ready? Here's the question number 1. Change, right? Climate is not changing, climate has already changed. We can all feel and experience that it has changed. Okay? Question number 2. Who has caused the climate change? I have done it because I am the one who is using energy, I am the one who is using material, and I am contributing to the climate change. Very nice. Question number 3. Who will be the solution to the climate change? I will be, because I am the one who is creating problems. So let us not wait for the government, let us not wait for the industry, let us not wait for the policy maker. Let us start climate correction from today onwards. One last number before I stop, that if you are not going to take action right now, by the end of this century, 78 years from now, 77 years from now, the global temperature will rise to minimum 3 degrees centigrade or up to 6 degrees centigrade. Right now, because of just 1.1 degree centigrade, look at the disasters that are taking place in the planet. Imagine what will happen when it is 3 degree, 4 degree, 5 degree. So let us take drastic and strong action right now. Otherwise, there's a question mark whether human life will survive or not 80 years from now, 150 years from now. So as we say that, once upon a time, there were dinosaurs on this planet. They're not there anymore, they disappeared because of the climate change. If you continue to behave in this fashion, maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years later, a new species will appear on this planet, and they will say what? Once upon a time there were humans on the planet. Oh my God, what are we talking about? But our experience and our data suggests that we are actually heading into that direction. If you want, you can follow me and tag me. Let us start interacting together. Before I stop and I take question, I want everyone to take a 1 minute silence. Let us all close our eyes absorb what I have discussed so that we can assimilate all this in our life. So just close your eyes, please. Take a deep breath in, and with a smiling face, you can open your eyes. Thank you so much. I can take some questions this time. Yes. Already answered a lot of questions. Anybody? Yes.
Thank you very much, sir, for a great explanation of what is going to be changed and what we need to do. In fact, I need to do. My basic question comes from the fact that why the third world countries are being forced towards the carbon credits and saving the planet, whereas the whole issue was created by the developed countries once upon a time when they moved their whole of the manufacturing towards the third world countries like China and India, and now they are forcing us. Something needs to be done by these countries because these are the problem creators in the world.
So don't do that. Don't change. Use more coal and more oil. No problem. See, it is not, that is a different perspective that people suggest that India and China has to do that, which is technically correct also. We are third largest emitter in the world. It is also technically correct that they have already developed and used a lot of energy, and why should I do it now? But I think we have to go beyond that and use this problem as an opportunity. And as I said, let us rethink and redesign our energy system in a manner that it is more resilient, in a manner that it creates jobs, in a manner that it becomes independent, in a manner that we stop importing and living on carbon-based energy, in a manner that it mitigates climate change. So I would like to go beyond that and take this as an opportunity and create a system where all benefits are derived. It is not going to help anybody to say that you have done more and therefore I have right to do more, technically correct. But I think if India and China goes into that direction, I think doomsday is very clear. We cannot afford to do that at this stage of time when climate clock is ticking and we are talking about 6 years and 10 years. No. So fine, whatever happened has happened. We can't correct it right now. But let us use this as an opportunity. And one of the great example came from the Ukraine war. When Russia wanted to bomb and stop the Ukrainian, what they have done, they bombed coal power plant. One bomb and plant is gone. You can't do that with solar power plant, right? You have to put many bombs everywhere. So it has many inbuilt benefit to switch to solar energy 100%. And the manner I suggested, avoid, minimize, generate, it is not going to be expensive also. So I believe rather than having in that argument that you have done, I should also do it, let us get into another frame and say, okay, fine, this is the opportunity. I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to convert this challenge into opportunity and create many benefits for me which they will not have. I would rather look at from that perspective.
Thank you.
All right. That's it. I'm such a good professor, right?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Devendra Mehta. I recently made a survey for the solar solution, solar energy. Nowadays, the known newspaper are organizing a roadshow with so many companies of the solar solution. I've gone through so many solar panel companies. There are the Wari, Rajaratna Metals, even Tata is in those solution. So what is the parameters in any that the government has decided? Are the same panel now the mono and poly? The two panels are there. So which one is the better for the saving our money as well as better generation of the power?
Well, I mean,
they people don't know because they are recently into this industry.
well, I mean, from the consumer perspective, even if you do not know, it doesn't matter much because both has their own plus and minus. So monocrystalline will be more efficient but also more expensive. Multicrystalline will be little less efficient but little cheaper also. What eventually is important is what is the cost of solar electricity per unit generated. So when you go from this parameter, the mono and multi almost become the same.
Okay.
So from the consumer point of view, you don't have to really worry about it.
And what will be the lifespan? Because as you mentioned, don't consume more. If you are putting a solar panel and consuming, then there is no meaning. After 5 years or 25 years, the lifespan of the solar cell, again you have to replace the thing, and it is a long process to even making a solar panel. So that is the fact. So how we can distinguish this? This is the better one. For
I mean, the crystalline silicon technology is very mature, very standard. In fact, I keep telling, if there is something wrong you have to do with the technology, you have to work hard, because every machine is standardized, silicon making and module making, everything is standard. So we go to China, India, Brazil, America, everywhere the process remains same.
Same, no?
So it's a very standard, 25 years lifetime is one. Silicon solar panel is the only item in the world which gets 25 years warranty. You go to the Apple phone also, you get only 1 year warranty.
Yes.
So it is already very advanced technology. And I did my PhD in solar. I wouldn't have believed that solar will become so cheap and such a long lifetime warranty. So already very, very mature, very advanced technology, perfect technology from all perspectives. So very close to the ideal efficiency we already reached. Okay. If there is no question, I have one last question. May I ask? How are you all? How are you all? How long you want to be happy? Forever? Great, do that. That's the most important task we are here on this planet for. We forget that we do everything else. So from now onwards, if anybody asks you how are you, say happy. करेंगे? Even ताजा झगड़ा करके आए husband wife का, फिर भी कोई friend मिल गया, how are you? पूछ लिया तो क्या कहेंगे? Lie a little bit and say happy, because anyway we are all lying in our life. Okay, so do that. With this, thanks again to all of you as an audience. Thanks to JSW, thanks to Times of India for having me here. I hope we have learned something, and I hope you are going to start taking action from today onwards. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the insightful presentation of yours. And it was indeed a pleasure. If yes, you agree with me, a big round of applause for his initiative and his presentation. Thank you. And sir, we would like to felicitate you. I would request Mr. Abhay Yagnik from JSW Energy to do the honors, please. A small gesture to add in your bus garden. Yes. Thank you once again. Now let me once again thank our esteemed speakers of the day and also all the guests over here. On behalf of JSW and the Times of India and our partners, to be the part of this discussion that sets the tone for the 11th edition Earth Care Awards. Thank you once again. This is Dhwani signing off. Do join us for lunch. Until we meet next, stay happy, stay smileful, as Sir said, and do our part, my part, your part of the Earth Care. So, pledge if you have water in your bottle, just empty it before you leave. Thank you. Bye and good day.